Hey, welcome back to Métropole Grid. My name is Andre. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you are doing well. It is the 10th of August, 2023, the year of our Lord, and we're in the middle of continental season. Last weekend, this weekend, maybe even the following weekend, there's a lot of competitive organized play happening. Hopefully you're getting involved, or you're watching, or you're judging. How's everyone doing today? Hey, Trillian, first, finished a really fun Asa versus Nat game for Standard League. The Circle of Ants deck from APAC. Really fun game, had a strong start, but the Nat won. Ants versus Nat. That's the, like, Stegodon deck. We were almost meant to have Pat here tonight. We'll probably have him next week. Actually, no, next week we're not going to be streaming on Thursday. Ooh, there's going to be a makeup stream at some point between now and next Thursday. I can't tell you when because I genuinely don't know. I'm not doing this just to farm that notification button. But that being said, if you want to subscribe on Twitch or hit the notify button, subscribe on YouTube, you'll know when to go live because I'm pretty sure we're not going to be streaming next weekend on Thursday. Sorry, next Thursday next week. Cool. Frank, how's it going? Did you manage to play Lady Liberty? Lady Liberty is like a card that like is seeing play now because there's at least one really big deck that cares about scoring a 3-1 on turn 1. Who knows whether that's healthy or not. And I think a lot of people are really shocked to see this card. This card used to be like, this card almost won Worlds. This thing has been around for a while. Like CTM decks played this when Reign and Reverie came out. This is a neat card. We used to play games back in the day. We used to play like big Glacier decks that would score Lady Liberty score a 3-pointer, and then once the 3-pointer went through, nobody would run it. And so then you had this for a while, so you actually could score and win the game with 2 Lady Liberty procs. Interesting. You'd score 7 points. The Wild for power counter Lady Liberty. Jacobo, how's it going? Oss, how's it going as well? Hey, Andre, how you doing? Seabass, hello. I didn't this game, but last time I played the list, I won with Lady Liberty last game with it. It's like always a really fun gamble with Lady Liberty. Be like, okay, well, they scored a 1-pointer. Are they going to score a 2-pointer? Okay, they can't score a 3-pointer, right? And then, well, you know how it goes. Not again. Yo, how's it going? I'm assuming that's not again. I can read lead speak. Dan Bushi, how's it going as well? So probably just because people aren't used to seeing it, there's a great feeling to Lady Liberty and Ikwa for the win. Also, very important to understand, Lady Liberty, you don't score the agendas, so you don't get win scored abilities, which is often why this deck shows up not in decks that have like off-world office, but more so like cards like this that don't have a win scored ability. They just have active text. On that note too, you're really tired of losing to Hermes all the time, most powerful console in the new set, you just go ahead and you don't score your agendas, you add them to your score area. Hey Kat, how you doing? Hey Andre, how chat? How you been? You're not traveling this weekend, are you? Lucas loved the commentary in APAC. You doing EMEA too? Yo, Lucas, how's it going? No. So we did a bit, very little. We did like 2 rounds of commentary. Firstly, thank you for the kind words, Lucas. We did very little, 2 hours of commentary for the first 2 rounds for APAC, which was just last weekend. We'll be talking a bit more about that during the news section, but all that stuff is already up. If you want to watch the VODs, it's up on YouTube. This is the Null Signal Games YouTube channel. You can go there and subscribe to that. But if you go to videos, because they don't put their new stuff on the front page. Oh, I guess they do down here. Yeah, that's out. So you get a Swiss Day and the cut too. So it's a lot of Netrunner. For me, it started at 11 in the evening, so 2 hours was like, yeah, that was doable. But beyond that, it wasn't really doable. Now, this weekend, very importantly, is America's Continentals, which is an in-person live event. I think I've been saying it's at the Mox Ruby. That's not at all what it's called. It's at the, hold on. The Mox boarding house in Bellevue, which is in Washington. And this will actually be streamed this weekend. In fact, it'll be streamed on the Null Signal Games, Null Signal Netrunner Twitch channel. All these links should be in the description. But just, that will be streamed. This is an in-person play event. You're going to see physical cards from the new set, which is awesome as much as proxies are legal. But for this too, I will be casting remotely. I'm going to be casting for a bit of day 1 and we'll be casting for all of the top cut. I've seen the lineup of people we're casting with too. It looks sick. It's going to be a good production on the streaming side too. They're working with like, good stream setup people. It's going to be good. A lot of effort went into that event and it looks like it's going to be massive. One of the biggest in-person events this year. So tune in for that. That'll be just this weekend. Hey, Sunny D, how's it going? Ooh, Vanity, what did I just jump into? Oh, we're talking about Lady Liberty, how you Vanity it out. Andre, please stop taking the HB cards I want in the draft. Wait, Seabass, whose name are you here? This is a fun thing that's happening. I wanted to show this a bit. So Dan Bushi put this together. So this is called a snake draft. There's a corp side and runner side, and we just started this yesterday, so it's going pretty well. And how this draft works is that there's 8 players here. They randomly got put into different categories. And then the marker, the empty box, kind of like snakes through the rows. So it goes left to right, then down, right to left, left to right. And whenever it's in your section, you can name a legal card in the standard card pool. And then you get 3 copies of the card if you want for your deck building and nobody else does. So that's the idea. And you see how some people like kind of really box themselves into lanes. So I'm on all the way on the right, which kind of stinks because I at least get 2 picks back to back, which is okay for combo decks. But I'm also the last person to go in the first round, and like people aggressively pulled some powerful cards. I guess I got bravado, can't be upset. It's been really fun. We're going to be playing some games with this. We're going to be doing like an asynchronous event. You might see more of this on the channel. Shout out to Not Again, who I don't know what the heck they're doing besides absolutely ruining everyone's day. I'm over here realizing I don't have an agenda suite. So I'm like, I guess I'll get Ikawa send a message. That's an agenda suite. I don't have to worry about it anymore. And then I'm like, okay, I guess I have to play HB because I picked an Ikawa. So I think I'm going to take Brown and Eli and Ansel. I'm assuming they're going to let me take Architects of Tomorrow because nobody wants that. And no one's drafted a damn Byroid. And then Not Again's over here just drafting IDs, drafting like Jinteki agendas and SDS drone deployment, just because he doesn't want to play against anything. He just doesn't want to play against them. Absolutely just hate drafting. Like he's going to end up playing Ampere. It doesn't make any sense. And I'm really upset about this because I was building something. I have to play PD. It'll be okay, I guess. Worth noting, everyone has hedge funds, sure gambles, and spin doctors. But otherwise, the only thing that's not legal is Hoshiko. This is the Andre, Metropole Grid from APAC Casting. This is the Mondi from APAC Casting. How's it going, Mondi? Good stuff on the stream. No Cascadia for me. Sorry to hear, Cat. Specifically which card? Please tell me, Seb, I can take them instead. APAC was wild. Solomir, how's it going? I was expecting a smaller turnout and a shorter event. I think a lot of people were, right? Like, so APAC was 7 rounds because there was nearly 100 players. And when we talked about it, which was like, I think on stream, we were maybe 12 hours before the lock-in for Decklists, there was 50 players. And that's kind of a thing with Netrunner players, is that they're probably going to submit their decks at last minute anyways because it's a new meta and people were like figuring it out. But there's about 100 players, which means 7 rounds and not single-sided Swiss, double-sided Swiss. So that's like 8 hours of Netrunner plus. So for all the hardcore players like Seb K, Pouch Surfer, who played from the East Coast and were playing at like 4 to 5 in the morning, it's absolutely like so wild. Pretty sure someone in the area has a sports car with the Mox Ruby plate. They must. Had to crash out after R4. Yeah, you can see the numbers too. It's like, this is probably one of the events that had the most drops because, yeah, it was just getting too late. Like there was 69 active players at the end, 25 players dropped just because they weren't doing well or it just got too late because a lot of people signed up thinking it would be 5 rounds and it was 7, which like, that's a big difference when it goes from 3 o'clock in the morning to like 7 o'clock in the morning. Was supposed to go, but got COVID. Oh, Richard, sorry to hear. Hopefully you're doing okay. PD is a big one, but wage workers, Ikwa and Nico were all on my list. Yo, that's the thing too, is like, I got wage workers, and so this is my strategy, right? I don't want to spoil too much of my strategy. I got border control wage workers, because that lets me play basically anything I want. Like I can play Asa, which Eric took eventually, that's the problem. And then I had wage workers, which kind of works with Ikawa send a message, but then I have like wage workers send a message Ikawa, which like, you need 2 remote servers. And then on top of that, like, how am I going to play Mirror Morph with wage workers? So I have to play, I guess, PD, but then I don't have Seamless. So like, what am I PDing back? It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. The new Steel Skin arts for Cascadia are dope. Wish I could go. Sounds like there might be a reprint at Worlds, which I'm into. Yeah, again, we're talking about this more at Worlds, the news recap. But there is some nice alt arts. Some of these are bespoke to the event. So a Cat Chen art of a super heavy logistics underneath a bridge that I'm assuming might be a local bridge in that part of the world. There's also the Tranquility Home Grid, which this is Seattle. That is the Fraser Tower, named after Fraser Crane. And then we have these, and these are gorgeous, and these are actually from Null Signal. From my understanding, Null Signal is sponsoring the event, so they helped out with like prize support and they commissioned this art. This art's awesome, obviously because of ESSA, but also because Steel Skin Scarring needed an art. A lot of people haven't seen this. I saw this for the first time, and I'm pretty sure you will see this again, either at Worlds or at one of those packs that they like reprint a couple of these in like GNKs or COs or whatever, because these are obviously very hard to get and everyone wants them. So I don't think this would be the last time that we're going to see this art, but definitely a very, very nice exclusive prize for this event. You guys draft fast? Yo, I joined the New England what's it called, Discord server, which I should have done a long time ago, and yeah, it is very alive. I'm so excited to see the Cascadia stream and to have the weekend off. Oh heck yeah, Monty, excited to see you in the chat. It's me, I'm the problem. Literally, what are you doing? Not again. I'm behind on chat, but like it's a really good spreadsheet. Like I'm up soon enough. I have to wait for Izzy, but like the spreadsheet works really, really well. It shows you, this is, I think Chris made this. I'm not sure which Chris, but a Chris made the spreadsheet, but like it shows you everything, what everyone has. It's like a really, really nice, well put together thing. If you want to make your own, reach out to Dan B. I reckon he could help you spin one out. Rashida first pick all day. Yeah. I think people are also ragging on Not Again for drafting Cubon this soon, which like, yeah, maybe. I think that's the weirdest pick early, that early. Everything else like makes a lot of sense, but then I think everyone's dunking on him for Cuban. Didn't get the seamless? No, I went pretty fast. But like, I think Regolith as a third pick too is like, it makes sense. Like it's a limited format. So like any economy is okay. Like you're playing HB, you probably play Regolith. But it's like really wild because you want to see how quickly you have to draft things, right? Like the runner side is really awkward because three of us, Danby, Izzy, and me, are all clearly trying to play criminal. So understanding how, like no one's picked 419 yet. Right? Like understanding that you're picking a pick on an ID is nice, but then at the cost of not getting like, I don't know, whatever is important to your deck. So luckily I cornered the market on most of the mark synergy. Somebody took Carpe Diem, Dan did. You also can just hate draft, right? Like the not against special, but like, I feel like these two I was so happy with because once we get Chezza and Matryoshka, we're in an okay spot. Like I don't have to worry about a breaker suite, but also very importantly, any card that doesn't get drafted, which will be the majority of the card pool, but albeit like some of the worst cards, you can play with those cards. So like if nobody drafts every single decoder in criminal, I can probably play whatever the least bad criminal decoder is. So keep that in mind. It's really interesting. I should get a decoder. Yeah, I think so. I think for criminal, like you have a couple good options. I think Shibboleth probably, like if Izzy doesn't take Shibboleth, maybe I'll consider it. Canister got Saucy, reasonable consolation prize. Yeah, but Canister like first pick Arissana, so like and Ruka switch. Genuinely too, because the meta of this format is going to be like everyone's economy and win conditions suck. Besides like the fact that everyone just let Izzy take every single good NBN card because no one's playing NBN for some reason. Yeah, that might be a problem. I love watching snake drafts. So many angry people. It is very funny. Art's so good. I don't need the super limited card, but I'd take anything with that art on it. It is really good art. Okay, cool. Let's get into some Netrunner today. We've been playing a lot of Netrunner. We're working on a video that should be up probably Monday, I hope. Maybe not, because we're going to be casting all weekend when we'll be editing. Maybe Tuesday. We're losing our minds on the NYC draft right now. The not against special. How's it going, Dan? I'm trying my hardest with my picks to slow down Izzy is difficult. Yeah, that's the thing, is like we have to do this sort of like, I don't know, game theory, king making, queen breaking garbage, where like we have to probably just take some NBN cards because y'all went out of NBN and then let Izzy take Bologna. And so the only one who could stop Izzy right now is me. And I didn't want to do NBN because I feel like it's not impossible to play NBN without Bologna, but like it feels a lot worse. But yeah, Izzy has Retribution and I'm playing Matryoshka. So like, good luck me. Jonah's already apologized once to me, and it's the first row. Who let Izzy draft QTM's deck from APAC? Exactly, that's what's happening. Hello, Wesley going? Oja Place, how's it going? We're gonna play some Netrunner tonight. How you doing? Card pool is smaller. This is gonna be spicier. It's small, really fast. I'm just sitting pretty over here with my Wayland deck. Yeah, but like you don't have border control, so how good is your Wayland deck, right, Dan? Right? Just over here with my beautiful border control. I'm surprised Maryland campaign went before border control. I think economy is good, but like, I don't think hostile is better than border control. I think you can play Wayland past events without hostile. It's like really easy to forget very, very good cards. Managarm going this fast, that's a bummer for me because like I have good ice, but I don't have defensive upgrades. I think the only defensive upgrade I could play is the one that you spend a click on it. And that one sucks because I have 5/3s, so it doesn't really work. So I'm thinking of maybe even playing the Wayland one. The one that says like put 6 credits on this or whatever you want, like, but that's going to be ass too. So like I don't know how to protect my 5/3s. And I was going to take Punitive, but Punitive snuck out here. Hank took Punitive just like earlier this morning. So that's not good. Okay, hold on. Oh, didn't want to open this. Not sure how we got there. Okay, let's do Decks of the Week. I'm doing Wayland back off was supposed to be a strong message. Yeah, take Atlas. Atlas, you got first pick Atlas. But yeah, I do think you sent out really strong messages. I love that Anarch has enough card pool to support a 60 card deck and only 2 people are on it. Yeah, it's worth knowing that Hoshiko is banned in this card pool for some reason. And like, I don't disagree with it. But yeah, I do think you could go pretty far playing Anarch. I do think you're gonna see a lot of Anarch cards like splashed. Like I probably can splash 1 or 2 more Anarch cards. I think economy is really difficult. Jeff, you mentioned this and I didn't realize this. Null Signal Games hasn't printed a criminal economy card since, like, I don't count Moreira to be a criminal economy card, but like if you need to put a card in your deck to make a lot of economy, what do you think the last Null Signal Games economy card is for criminal? Is it Red Team? Is it Saucy? It's technically Saucy, but that's not really playable without a lot of support. It's strange. There's like, that's the thing with Anarch. Anarch has all the straightforward value options. Like telework is gone. Okay, Liberated is gone. And then like you can just play companions. Okay, let's get into the deck list of the week, which we're not exactly going to play, but we're going to play it as close as we can. So this is EC Nats. This was the East Coast Nationals that happened basically 4 days before the new set came out. So this is not a legal format because things have rotated. We have lost Boom. We've lost Hard Hitting News. We've lost Bulwark. But shout out to Wiki. Wiki is a new enough player. I think she's only been playing for a handful of months, not even a year. And she took down the East Coast Nationals, which was a huge in-person event in Pennsylvania and Philadelphia. That was ran by Dan Bushi, and I think some other folks helped run too. I think Pouch Surfer has to be thanked there. You can watch the stream. It's on Code Marvelous's YouTube channel. I'm pretty sure. I know it's on Twitch. And it's great. It's a really cool event to see that many people in like this old Netrunner spot. And shout out to Wiki playing Hoshiko. Just about everyone in the top cut did besides one person and the outfit. And I like this list. I think this list is like a really well chosen list for the meta where people are playing the 60 card Hoshiko decks that might be a bit inconsistent. The fact that triple magnet is like just difficult for that deck to deal with because they need to either Banhar it or find their Buzzsaw. And even Banharing it, you can set the positionality in a way that makes sense. So really well played. I really liked Wiki's the way that she played the outfit on stream. She played very clean, very mean lines and got there very quickly. It was not a very long game in the finals. So shout out to her. Well played. Also Arc Lockdown. Another really cool thing for on the meta. Now, I think we're just going to copy this deck and just try and make it as quickly modern as possible to see how it works. We did see some outfit decks just this last week in an APEC do well, but they were doing fundamentally something different, playing the big deal. So we're going to try and keep that on the Oppo research and see how much different or worse Oppo research is attached to Hard Hitting News compared to Hard Hitting News. On that point too, we're not going to playing 2 Boom. I think we have to play 3 copies of the one that kills them and the line, which it seems a lot worse, but we're just going to play it directly like this to see what the changes feel like. Cause I don't think it's going to feel terrible. I don't know what else we would probably put in. We probably could do like 2 economic warfare, or sorry, we could probably do 2 end of the line 1 pivot if we want to make that change, but let's just copy this in, see how it goes. In NYC, Hilo, oh, Hoshiko was first pick. It makes sense. Yeah, Hoshiko's banned, Kato, and the one that the New England folks were playing. It is banned. Yeah, it's the only other banned card besides the actual ban list. Like no one's going to be playing Endurance or Drago or whatever. I thought I copied it. Let's just do this. Import. Do 2 end of line 1 Mindscaping over a pivot? Yeah, Mindscaping is probably worth it because we have the Arc Lockdown influence. Yeah, we'll try that. I think Pivot is also worth playing though, because Pivot into Too Big to Fail is like totally reasonable. Just a tip for the spreadsheet maker, I can barely see the color coding between Anarch and Shaper. There may be some other colorblind participants. Yeah, Thanos, that's a really good shout out. I haven't made the thing, so I don't know, but that is good to pass along for sure. It's always easy enough to take whatever you're looking at and like pull it into, you know, something that simulates colorblindness. And the number of people that are colorblind is like, it's like way higher than anyone thinks it is. I think it's like 1 in 12. It specifically hits men more than it hits women. Oh, okay. Hot take, Anarch has more money than Criminal into Flavor Fail. Right now, yeah, Criminal has no money. It's really hard. Like, we saw no Criminal at the APAC. And I don't know if we're going to see any Criminal going forward because Criminal just doesn't have a way to generate money. Hermes is nice, but it's anti-money, unfortunately. I think you can play differently. But like Criminal just doesn't have money. They were meant to be the get run, get paid faction. And maybe you do exclusively if you're like playing Sable, where you can afford to make all these weird suboptimal runs that are become optimal. But yeah, like your first thing you're doing when you're playing a Criminal deck is like 3 Fermenter. Like, it's awful. Criminal decks just don't have money anymore. Like, Click for Credit 419 was a thing in the last rotation. Like, it's so messed up. Like, I play a Criminal deck and I'm looking over the... beans. Like, I look across the table and a Hoshiko who's like, oh, look at all this value I get from running. And I'm like, I'm meant to be the running faction. What the heck's going on? Technically, Debbie Tanton is a Criminal economy card. Yeah, I'm saying not counting her because you can't actually use her as economy engine. Hey, D. Someone said, hey, should we ban Hoshiko? And we all shrugged and said, okay. 419 was the most popular runner, had 0 cut conversion. Yes. And like, we can look at some of the 419 lists, but I don't know if I'm entirely surprised. I've been playing Proco 419. That's the sort of thing I think we need to see. I think you're going to need to see like very different changes. Like Career Fair Proco 419, that's probably okay. You give the Criminal cards money and then banned it all the way from Rip Temujin and crowdfunding. Yeah, and then Pad Tap. Like all the Criminal econ cards. Okay, I've been gutted. Okay, let's rebuild the agenda suite. So I'm assuming we're on 2 hostile, maybe 3. 3 hostile, 3 red cap. This is unfortunately one of the Wayland decks that probably doesn't want to be playing Slash and Burn. As sick as Slash and Burn is. And then what are we on? SDS? 1 SDS, I think. Oh no, we don't have to. So food rotated 2. So we have to play 1 SDS, 1 above the law. Okay. All right, 20 points. Aeneas Informant is still a card. Yeah, but Criminal plays it way worse than Anarchs, right? Because like that's the beauty of when you play Aeneas versus an Anarch. You have all the click compressed card draw so you can get all these sub-impactful cards in your hand. And then you're getting like Maw to fire, you're getting Dreamnet to fire, you're getting Hoshiko to fire. Like, I don't know, Aeneas Criminal we haven't seen in such a long time. Bulwark rotated, yeah. Bulwark rotated, Hearty News, Boom rotated. I think that's mostly it. JNet knows what standard is. Technically, standard doesn't change for like 2 or 3 days. But okay, so okay, I don't know. Can I? Okay, so instead of Bulwark, we're just gonna go ahead and play, of course, Valenciao. I think you could probably play some more barriers in the list. I'm not sure what barrier we're excited to play. I think we saw some amounts of envelopments, which like, yeah, okay, I guess that's fine. Mushin. The funny thing is that they could unban Crim economy cards and they'd just be better in other factions for the most part. Yeah, I'd argue that Hoshiko would play what's it called? Crowdfunding better than Anarch would, or sorry, than Criminal would. Gotta hit the drop down for format. Oh, very good. Okay. So Hardening News, we're just gonna make that Oppo. We technically have like 11 agendas, so it might fire more consistently than we think it will. We'll get rid of 2 booms and an arc lockdown because we have to. And in that spot, we'll play 1 Mindscaping, let's say, and then 2 end of the line. Okay, we're at 51 cards somehow. How did we do that? Because we added 2 envelopments. So is there anything else that we should quickly change into this list? Otherwise, it is standard legal for modern standard. I think economic warfare is like way worse with Oppo research than it is anything else. But I still think we can play it. The big difference is like economic warfare into Hardening News means they can't clear the tags, but you had way more windows to do that. With Oppo research, yeah, I think we can still try it. I guess we just don't play barriers. We just play border control. Everyone's playing cleaver anyways, right? All right. 14 influence though. Oh, we won influence. I guess a Mavirus is like pretty on meta, as much as this deck probably doesn't do Mavirus as well. You can play Pharos in the Bulwark slot and have less illicit ice. You need to like speed run illicit ice though. Right? Like so much of the threat of this deck is that regulatory capture is good. And also Valenciao being 0 credits on res is kind of good. If it fires. It usually fires. Yeah, I think one Mavirus would make sense. I don't know if there's a very obvious other inclusion for 1 influence. Let's do that. Yeah, it's fine. Pivot. Yeah, pivot kind of makes sense. But like, what are we covering for pivot? Probably a subsidy. I think an economic warfare might be able to be cut. Our ice in theory got cheaper, right? Like Bulwark was 7 to res, so losing a government subsidy seems okay. And also like Oppo research has a ceiling. So I feel like cutting a government subsidy might be fine. Let's try this. And then we'll just keep in mind that like if we had a pivot, how would it change some of our turns? Yeah, I don't know if there's a slot. We probably could. We could probably cut the subsidy, but let's just try this. Deck is pretty rich. Yeah, no, it's definitely good. 2 end of line plays enabled by pivot. Oh yeah, that's actually a huge enabler of pivot. I'm hoping we have Atlas tokens. Yeah, okay, we'll add the pivot. It's a new card anyways. Red Cap Audacity. Yeah, Red Cap Audacity is also pretty good. If it's not like fully oh no, you just pivot onto the table and then you red cap it as long as they're threat 3, or is pivot threat 3 or 4? The sort of things that would be important to know for the weekend. Pivot is showing up in like a bunch of decks. Like Wayland is unironically playing pivot. I mean, not Wayland, wow. HB is unironically playing pivot. Pretty cool. New corp deck. Modern outfit. So the outfit, if you're not familiar, it's an identity that says the first time a turn you take, whenever you take a bad publicity, gain 3 credits. And so we have a bunch of illicit ice that is pretty hard for the runner to deal with, but classically, you know, the downside is Bad publicity scales well as the game goes longer. So we just don't want the game to go too long. Otherwise, we're handing over so much money to the runner. So we just don't let that happen. That's it. And then a bunch of our ice is like way over curve because we res it for 3 credits cheaper functionally, as long as we have the money up front. And then we have regulatory capture, which is a 6-2 agenda that goes all the way down to a 2-2 agenda if we have 4 bad publicity, which is another really good win condition. Just thinking aloud, how good is false lead now that Oppo's non-interactive and misdirection is gone? It's probably a lot better, Raketha. The problem is like the 2-tag punishment is not game winning, so it's stronger, but the win condition attached to it is weaker. Right? Like they used to be that if you false leaded someone, they couldn't clear the tags, you won by boom. But now it's like, what do you do when they have 2 tags? Like having all of that and then like 2 end the lines is pretty difficult. It's probably worth looking at. I do think it's probably worth looking at. And like, hey, if you're playing Lady Liberty anyways. Wayland now pretend they were well-behaved children collecting good sticker. Loved watching your streams, but I won't watch this on YouTube. Ah, cheers. That's very kind. All right, so we're playing against Sable. We have a big incentive to ice up central servers relatively quickly. I'm honestly not the biggest fan of like too big to fail on turn 1 all the time, just because I like the runner to be surprised. I think it's a bit different now that Oppo Research isn't hard-hitting news isn't around, but I know a lot of times I'd like to hold the too big to fail, and then runner ran on their last turn, and then you'd be like, oh, too big to fail, surprise, hard-hitting news. I think it's different with Oppo. The hostile takeover leaves diversion of funds open on HQ, which like we can recover from, but I don't think we want to give them a 2-click 4-credit run. It's not honestly that bad. I think we can keep this, but like we don't want to put Trebuchet on HQ. Maybe we will, but we ideally don't res it unless Sable installs something. Okay. So we have a lot of lines here. I think we're just going to go for the big money line so we can draw once, install too big to fail. Oh, that's better on HQ. Okay, we will just get some bad pub. That's more stuff that can be trashed. I don't really want to put a Trebuchet in R&D. The other option is just to do hedge fund this turn. I think we'll just do a hedge fund this turn. There's almost no way that we'll start. Actually, no, maybe that's wrong, because if we score hostile the turn after, we can't too big to fail. So we probably should have too big to fail there so that we can hostile and not be stuck with this card. Because this card is 1 click for 7 credits and a bad publicity. That's a lot. It's 10 credits because we get 3 on the bad publicity. But, oh nice, HQ mark. Unfortunately, you can only play it when you have fewer than 10 credits. So if we score the hostile, we get another 10 credits, and then we're kind of in a bad spot. I'm going to res this here. Otherwise, it's a free run, but it actually does some financial damage here, which means, and again, this guy kind of falls off a bit with bad publicity because they can lose the bad publicity, but just the fact that they can't break all the subroutines on this thing is pretty good. It's not as good because people aren't on Black Orchestra. They used to break this for 5 credits, but like Buzzsaw for 3 is very fine. And the face check is okay. And the fact that it can't be like hippoed, or there's a lot of things that care about breaking all subroutines. We also have to watch out. We have 10 agendas and 42 cards. So like the density on R&D is pretty high. Yeah, just credit. Huh. I think we can. Like, I don't want to put a Trebuchet in R&D. This is pretty spiteful, but it kind of puts them out of the game a bit. I think we can draw once, hit that. Yeah, we can just set up a bit. Okay. This means that we can do our thing. R&D is wide open, but they only have 1 credit. So Oppo Research in theory is a real risk if we had a pivot in hand. As much as 2 tags is not going to do too much. They also can steal the SDS drone deployment and then install a program, which is really powerful against criminals that are generally running one of breakers. We saw a lot of criminals at APAC that are running like simulchip, and I'm not sure I entirely get it. Like, obviously it's good, but then you have to trash the program to use it, which is like, do you want to like, do you want to destroy your other program to bring back your first program? It seems so hard. Like, I don't get it entirely. All right, well, we're in too bad pub. 24 credits. Let's go. Hey, Cror, how's it going? Good work on the judging stuff last weekend. All right, Carpe Diem, Archives run. They're making the run here. I don't think you actually do make the run, because now that they've made a run, well, okay, there's no more hard-hitting news, but they risk economic warfare, and that run was useless. So you should probably just take the money and go. Oh, no, you get your click back. Never mind. I don't know. Yeah, economic warfare, like, we've already got them once. This would be worse into hard-hitting news. Not there is hard-hitting news. Okay, we have this. It's mostly Stavka Half-Run Tech, I think. Resets the killer so you don't lose 2. Wait, Jeff, what is? I think you might be not watching live. Hey, Cole, really enjoyed the Apex stream. Good call out. I wouldn't have watched it if you hadn't brought it up. Oh, heck yeah. Hope you're doing well. I am, thank you. More stuff this weekend, eh? So Trebuchet on R&D, I think we need it. We're going to draw into Moray soon enough. Like, I don't think we really want this many credits. I think it's better here to put out the Spin Doctor. If they run it, we'll crack it and we'll shuffle back in Economic Warfare and probably a hedge fund, honestly. Oh, you're talking about, oh, sorry. You're talking about a simul chip being Stavka half run tech. Yeah, I guess, but then you have to have it down at the same time. I don't know. This is why we play Mervirus. Is a simul chip to run Abagnale? Nobody runs Abagnale, David, because the numbers on Abagnale are really bad. Like, imagine bypassing a code gate and it costs you 4 credits and a 2 influence card, and then you have to reinstall a card for 1 credit. That's so much work. The simul chips, I think, where people see more staff run. If you're seeing Stavka half run, like, wouldn't you be better served just playing a laser pointer? They didn't run this. I think they are scared of Oppo. Rightfully so. All right, we want to put some ice on archives. Okay, this red capture is a 4-2. It's almost worth scoring. We do need to ice up everything. I'm putting a trebuchet in archives. I will res it. Because we just want to speed run bad publicity. Because once this Amakua gets up to 1 counter, they can consider running HQ. Hey, Augustus, I lobbied to switch simul chips for buffer drive, but the influence worked out so you could spare the extra influence. I'd argue that buffer drive is probably way more, it's like literally way more expensive. You still have to draw the card, you have to install the card, as opposed to like simul chip, which is 1 credit instead of 3. I don't know. I obviously really do not care for buffer drive. I don't think there's any meta which makes sense. Hey, Cody, how's it going? Congrats on your run. All right, well, there's a Hermes. I guess we're scoring out a regulatory capture. You hate to see it. But we need a rush to like threat 3 no matter what. Like if they bounce the R&D ice, I don't think it's too bad. Laser point is probably the call, but getting people to use a disposable breaker harder than it should be. That's how we used to play back in the day. We had fairies. But like I think playing 2 revolver is very reasonable. I don't think the games are going long enough where they matter. And I think playing laser pointer is like okay if you want a tech slot. And 2 zones closer to you this weekend. Chenchling, how's it going? You in the Midwest? So if we score this out, they bounce. I don't think we're in a rush to score this out. Like we can just do advance, hedge fund. And then next turn we can advance. No, we should quad advancing. This is really difficult if they like inside job. We can score it and they bounce, which will open up a central. I don't think we do that. Like I literally think we just click for credit here so that we keep 5 cards in hand. People are also just on retribution. Getting locked with just a single of those is pretty bad. Yeah, I know. But then like, is no free lunch just also a better card? Like I saw people use their simul chip. I think I saw some imps, which like as soon as you play imp and then you have another good reason to play the simul chip, sign me up. But if it's just simul chip for like breaker recursion, like even labor rights might be better, as much as that's also convoluted. Up in Grand Forks, North Dakota, don't you know? Yeah, I do think you're right though. There's some amount of people playing retribution. And like criminal, like I don't know. It's hard. Bravado. Where are we going? Archives. All right. Trebuchet. This, I get a Trash and Amakua. We're happy. Trash and Amakua. Trace 6 doesn't really matter. So they still get their Bravado. They still get their penny, their bankroll. But we no longer have to deal with that Amakua. They also res one of our ice. This is like the big... This is the biggest thing that I've learned from playing Mercury. Is that you need to be slower, right? Like this is the problem I have with Mercury is like I'll run HQ because I need them to res, otherwise I see 2 cards and then they res and then I drop my Hermes. And the thing is if they didn't run archives, they could in theory, if we score the agenda, threaten the bounce on archives and then get some value from archives, sneak or a beta, charge their Amakua, anything like that. But the big problem here is now they allowed us to res our ice. It's a huge issue that I'm finding with Hermes. I need to make sure that I'm aggressive, but not allowing them to res ice on centrals because Capybara doesn't go that far. This is also now a 3, which is sick. So we can score this, reinstall based off of what they do. And then go from there. And was an idea of mine there to trash Bolognas. It doesn't make simul chip much better. Yeah. So they also allowed us to reposition ice here, which is like, you know, there's some downsides to that. Carmen. So +3 strength. We'll do server 1 advance. And at this point, we can let a bounce happen and it'll be fine because we win in 2 turns if this goes through. And now Oppo Research, mind you, will be just straight up 4 tags. We don't have the win condition in hand. We only have a single end line. It's not like we're playing Angelique, which I think Angelique is fine. Why is nobody playing Personal Evolution? I feel like there's so many busted prison Personal Evolution cards in the new set. I think, Jeff, you and I were a bit soft on them. But there's a whole, like, people just stop playing Warrior Tracker and people stop playing Personal Evolution. And I think that stuff is just still really good. In fact, there's so many really good cards for that in the set. Like, all the upgrades are a bit busted when it comes to doing damage, and then be like, do you want a Warrior Tracker to trash my, like, Daniela? No, thank you. Lee was always a good pilot required if you weren't on gang sign, so def feel the Hermes learning. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of Hermes learning where like aggression, and I'm not saying that Snarky Saxophoner messed it up because the archives run was fine, but I know I've been learning that. It's like I need to slow down. Please do not play PE prison again. Daria, how's it going? Stop encouraging PE. I know, and I don't want to play against it. I'm just like surprised that we saw literally none of it at APAC, but I'd argue that like APAC, we saw a lot of people just playing like, oh, this is a deck that I've played before with 1 or 2 new cards, which like, yeah, that makes sense. It's the new meta. Yeah, no worries. So, you know, give or take. So if the inside job here, we get them with the magnet. This is fine. Unsub for encouraging people to play P. I hope it's bad. I just can't believe we didn't see anyone do it. Boomerang inside job? That's a lot of effort to go archives here. They just really want the 1 turtle counter. Like, it's breaking this for 2 credits and a click is like not awful. Like, that's a virtual service agent. But now what are they doing? Running HQ? They can't diversion. Legwork and hope that they get a bounce? It's tricky. Hermes feels like you want to pressure the same server a lot and nowhere else to take advantage of it. Exactly. Yeah. You don't want to, like, if this ice wasn't rezzed, they're actually threatening for us to score out, bounce this Afshar, and then they can like legwork, embezzle, diversion, like whatever you want. But the fact that they let us res as Afshar, it's just going to be a nightmare for them. Immediately they get through it this turn, but we're just going to score this out. They'll get a bounce and then we win next turn. Arguably. All right, so end turn, throw this out. We don't need that. We probably don't need that. Tags P with Mindscaping and Phonotria could be nice too. Exactly, like there's so many things that are easy to play that work well together on accident. Fuji felt so much worse than Open PE unless you do jank Neurospike, but I'm really a bad PE pilot. Augustus, I think Neurospike is not jank. Nobody's playing Stone Chip Chart Room. And that's the big thing, is like you can put it on the table. And if they need to run it, they need to go for your Phonotria, Daniela, Jorge, Angelique, maybe. And if they don't, you score it out, they die. And if they run it, they have to take like 4 to 5 damage. Like maybe they just die too. The Oboe band probably had something. Hey Seb, how's it going? Congrats on the weekend. I think it definitely like makes the deck less prison, but I think you can still do something with it. Scoring off Central is so much easier with a 5 net damage to the face. Oh, for sure. HQ's the mark here. I want them to hit the Mavirus. I got some Neurospike kills in APAC. It's perfectly playable. Yeah, I don't think Neurospike is a jank card. It just, there wasn't a lot of support for it. It's a very reasonable win condition. Oh my god. So the punitive Restoring Humanity decks that weren't playing... Seb, that was you. You were playing punitive, the punitive RH, right? I died on turn 1 into it. I played against someone who was playing that archetype, and they had Saisantan. I ran with 6 cards in hand. Saisan did 5 damage. I stole the bacterial programming. They drew 7. Your daily life into punitive. Literally died on turn 1. They had 6 credits. I took 5 damage from a face check. They're not apocking us. What is this? What are they de-rezzing our ice? Are they exploiting us? But Saisantan shouldn't exist. There shouldn't be a card that can do 6 net damage on turn 1. Oh, deep dive. Yeah, of course. 1 pointer. Oh, that's rough. Oh, wait. There's an SDS. Okay, they can steal 4. Okay, not that bad. Deep dive. Yeah. I totally forgot that it was Sable. I was like in my Mercury mind space. Also found that I was never sad to face the phone tree on the runner side, but I'm an Anarch at heart, so I take net damage every time. Yeah, you need to take a bit of net damage. But that's the thing, is where like if they take a bit of net damage, like Daniela into Angelique into like Fuji is like really hard. All right, so we could lose. It's a bit harder though, because this is the only 3-pointer. They found the only 3-pointer. We're on 3 bad publicity. We actually do not win from this hand. We're gonna draw an unknown card, Again, bouncing the ice on it, they have to bounce. We saw someone lose a game at APEC where, because they were forced to bounce, they diluted HQ that had 2 agendas in it and got the non-agenda after they added back into hand. After the corporation said, oh, GG, and then they ran, bounced, stole, bounced the ice, accessed the ice, and then the corp was like, oh my god, and then went on to win the game. Oh, yeah. Oh, they misclicked. Yeah, for sure. Let me deliver it to you. Okay, that works too. No, it's all good. Okay. Oh, slow down there. Stop looking at my deck. They still won? Don't worry. I'll just put it on the table. Get on my deck. I've been experimenting with Punitive Neurospec SSO. It's challenging, but not completely bad. Yeah, SSO is like the other one that can do it. CityWorks is really good with support. You gotta just access and ice and call it a day. Just ice R&D, oppo, and kill. We can't really, yeah, we probably should do that unless we top deck the Audacity or the Pivot. Okay, I guess we'll just do some housekeeping. Look at me, I'm Tabletop Simulator now. Playing with my cards. All you. Not a snare, promise. Behold. Hey Eric, how's it going? How's your snake draft doing? Forcing Arissana out here. This is a nightmare situation? Nah, it's fine. It's fine. Come. The deepest dive? I've never seen a dive that deep. They dived on their dive. Snake draft is fun, but you know the pain? Yeah, because Nottingham's there. I know you're... Oh, that's good. I know your pain. Alright, well... R&D. Up-oh. Oops. All the tags. Oopsies. I'm ripping on Nottingham. I'm having a good time. I just think it's really funny. He knows what he's up to. He knows what he's doing. Okay, so because we're only at 3 bad publicity, the regulatory capture was a 3-2, so we couldn't fast advance it out. So here they have to clear 2 tanks. It's like on the edge of possible. Don't suppose you got another 3-point agenda you can just place on the table for me. Come in. I'm psyched for my Asa deck. Yeah, you snapped Asa like really fast. I thought it would go a bit further. I think you got some good ice too. Okay, so now they have a fork here. Archives is the mark, but this stuff is hard to deal with. With 3 bad publicity, right? They still cost 2, 4, 6 to get through this. So only 3 real credits to get through this. But that comes at the cost of not clearing the tags. So mad at hate drafting, loving the salt. I'm surprised only one person has seen my actual plan, which is what? Play Nova? Play Ampere? You know you're gonna have to build a deck. Unless you're just gonna play whatever's left over and like you'll end up with some, you figure out what all the Jinteki cards and ashes are very quickly. This diversion in theory doesn't do anything. They don't know that, but we can always like pull a too big to fail from hand and then do end of line. So it's really hard to stop it. And they can go down to at least 2 tags. Mind you, networking actually gets them out of this situation. Not that you see networking. I have a legal deck already on both sides. Yeah, exactly. DreamNet gets a card draw. We're seeing way more DreamNet than we're playing Zenith. People are just not playing Zenith. Are you allowed to default down to Syndicate Catalyst? No, they're not legal. They're just not tournament legal. They're not standard legal. But you can do Nova Impair. And someone could draft Nova and Impair. If I have 1 pick left over, I'm going to draft Nova. Or I'm going to draft Impair just to draft backwards. To hate draft backwards. Hank already took Punitive for me, but the win con is all there. I did want Punitive. I would have played Punitive in HB with all the 3-pointers. Because I don't have a better win condition. I think my runner deck's good. I think my Corp deck is pretty bad. Alright, so they have to clear 2 tags. Or win. And we don't have a 3-point agenda left in the deck, so they're not going to win here. So they're just going in for an axis. Yeah, I think that makes sense. They have to hope that we have a 3-pointer in hand. I've generally not, since this card has come out, I don't think I've ever double-ended the lines in someone. I don't think I've done it. It's usually you get them to low hand size and then you single end align them. But I don't think I've ever played 2 of these. Oh, that's funny. Oh, I still haven't. I still haven't double end aligned. I've only single ended aligned. Damn. Good game. The Opera research felt good. It felt like what we wanted it to be. We were flying along. Their economy was like all gutted up, right? That's the thing when you triple ice. Like so many of the stable decks are so greedy where they can't generate any value without running, right? And that's sort of the criminal issue. Like criminal doesn't have Tellur contract. Criminal just doesn't have liberated accounts. There's literally no way for criminals to make money in the entire card pool without running, which like, at least that's easier now without hard hitting news. Oh, cheers. We just modernized the deck list of the week. Rips on dog. Exactly. Lazy, how's it going? Double lines in startup classic. How do you give someone 2 tags in startup? The solution is smart with distributor. You can add me. No, but for real, it's like, what are you doing criminal? You just don't have money. Like I've been splashing liberated. It's career for liberated. It's fine. Well, like it's as good as it is. You just play bot. You play fermenter. I'll be bringing the standard decklist attorney, so don't make it too good for others, please. You'll have a good time. Thanks for the game, eh? Drago isn't banned in startup. Oh, and people just float the tag after Drago, or they like double advance Drago. Hey, thank you. Ciao. Because I don't know what the play patterns are. We were like so used to in standard where the play pattern for Drago was like, you know, you just give them 1 tag a turn. But I reckon in startup people are doing something a bit more ambitious, like install double advance, seamless, like whatever nonsense. That's a weird thing too, is like I'm hearing people say, you know, like I don't want to play standard because standard is the more powerful format. I don't think it is anymore. Have you noticed? Like obviously it's a bit different when playing outfit, but the majority of decks are startup cards. And then standard doesn't have Drago and endurance. Like I think startup is, I think you can build a more powerful runner deck in startup than any runner deck in standard. Like full stop. Corporation, probably the same, but you don't have the better corporation identities. I think that's the one downside. I think standard has much more interesting corp identities as a whole. Startup is toxic, but with less econ. That's true. That is true. Because you don't have all the ashes stuff, which is all the economy. Oh, de-res. Hey, thanks. You too. Standard doesn't have a boat. Yeah, I know exactly. All right, so Los is probably going to be playing de-res. We might see some saucy. I'm not a big fan of border control and HQ to deal with diversion. I think we're going to mulligan this hand. Yeah, that's fine. The ID abilities are weaker for runners, I think. Yeah, well, there's fewer of them. You can't build the best Arissana deck, right? Like you don't have SMC and a bunch of the support pieces. So that I see. Yeah, that is definitely true. But like I think you can play like a Padma deck that is better than any runner in standard. Like straight up just better than any runner standard. We're going to have to res this magnet a lot. That's fine. That's totally fine. And I think we will build a remote server. They actually might like forge activations of Trebuchet. That's what we have to watch out for. Los, mind you, says gain 2 credits whenever the corp reses a piece of ice. Yeah, there you go. Forge activation will res it. So they gained 2 credits. That was a 1 credit econ card. They got full information. So now they could do like boomerang into diversion. I agree. I think startup is just cheaper to get into besides the wallet aspect. Would players just to dive in standard? Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, exactly. Oh, nice. Proco. Cool. Proco Crim. I agree. It's obviously like it's easier to get into because there's a smaller card pool, but like I think the fact that yeah, nice. Do we oppo them for 2 tags? So mind you, economic warfare says if able. So if they were on 4 credits, I think we'd oppo them for 2 tags. I think we mindscaping here. I've never done this. To the top of R&D. Oh, that's cute. That's cute. We'll go from there. But also proxies, yeah, for sure. Proxies. Bruh, Proco? Yeah, because there's no criminal card that gives you money. Okay, they'll jack out on the Violent Show. So they got 2 credits. We're at 2 bad publicity. They've stolen 1 red cap. Very important. So here they can flip switch if they want to. Otherwise, they lose 1 credit. I honestly don't think you flip switch there. Giving us 2 credits and them losing 1 credit because of bad publicity, I don't think is that important. Like, face checking to Trebuchet is more game losing. Like, the face check on this is actually not that bad. Especially because it's bad publicity. You won't gain the bad publicity from the balance show that was rezzed. But they already had a bad publicity, right? It's called Smart Redistributor. It feels a bit too slow. How many people do we think would be on Hermes if Boat was still around? In startup or in standard? In standard, none. I don't think Hermes is anywhere near as good as Boat. I don't even think Hermes is the necessarily best console in Criminal. It's not the best console in Shaper. In some Shapers is okay, and I don't think it's the best console in Anarch. This sounds like a bit, obviously, like pessimistic or like condescending potentially, so you let me know. But like, I do think there's going to be a lot of people who are catching up to Hermes play patterns. Like Leela was around for a long time. Leela is more powerful than Hermes. Obviously, like, can you play Hermes and Leela in 419? Yeah, I guess you can. I'm going to hope that they don't have Boomerang inside job. But at least if they hit this, Oppo will be online. But like the biggest thing is like, you have to learn how to play around Hermes. It's something that comes with time. It is an ability that a lot of old heads will have an advantage because they've spent years playing against Leela. So like in the last game, you saw our play patterns of how we scored out were different. Our ice positioning was slightly different, right? And those are things that will come with time. Hermes will probably become worse over time. Yeah, it's obviously better if people are playing a lot of small agendas. Like there's better metas for it. People are not install advancing. Like this is stronger into Hermes because Hermes can bounce this. That's like a really big thing. Ah, shit, they had it. If we res the Trebuchet here, they inside job it, but then we're on 4 bad publicity. Yeah, we're still gonna do it. Oh, this gave them 2 credits. That was wrong too. I'm seeing massive interest from traditional startup players for my welcome to Automata Initiative CO tomorrow in Melbourne. Hell yeah. Got any big picture tips for Hermes counterplay? Yeah. Do not, if you are weak to a certain server, do not score an agenda if you can without a click left over. You'll see a lot of scoring patterns where somebody will like install advance of 4-2 agenda, kind of like what we did, so that they can do advance score, and then whatever's bounced they can put back onto the table. The other thing that is like unfortunately just going to happen, they're in 0 credits. Okay, so that's going to be an easy enough oppo as much as we can't do that. They can win the game easily by just running HQ. Yeah, we could lose the game here. So another big thing too is understanding like if they do go that way, they can go central servers. Like you have to ice up your central servers because if you install advance here in remote server and they run R&D and see like 3 with the twinning and then bounce the card, that's also going to be bad. You have to take some risks for sure, but like it gives you an incentive to ice up centrals as much as it's hard to ice up everything. But yeah, that's it. Just understanding though that criminal deck is just not going to have any economy because they're not playing Paragon and Penny Shaver. So enjoy that. Okay, so like they lose if they get into this. They are putting down their decoder so they can deal with that. I'm going to draw once. Okay, that's good. That's actually our win condition from here. So we'll ice up HQ probably, and we'll oppo for 7. So they have 4 tags. So now they need to end up with at least this many tags in hand. This is where the mindscaping would have been good, but we played it. What do you think are the best consoles then? Ma, Keiko's absurd, but I don't know if Anarch needs even more money. Paragon and Penny Shaver are both good. I think Paragon's a bit better because criminal card draw kind of stinks. And on Shaper side, Onicom is really good. And if you're playing Arissana, you probably have to play Lilypad. Maybe not, but probably. But like Ma will win more games than Hermes. Ma will win many more games than Hermes. It's a bit harder to play for sure. But like Ma just like we lose the Ma here. Trace position in H. Yeah, okay. We are 4 bad pub. We have another win condition. If you're up against Hermes Tau, there's no counterplay. Just be skilled and void agendas off the top of R&D. I wouldn't say that. The thing too is like there were certain metas where that was the case, and when that was in the case too, like you can meta in tech and cards that allow you to res things. This is not great, but it's money, and we don't want them to steal it. I guess we wouldn't mind. But that's like another also big thing. Wait, what? We chose not to res it? I meant to res that. I was like, where's our ice on HQ? I meant to res that 100%. I hit no. Okay, not paying enough attention. We were meant to res the ice on HQ. Oh, we should have trashed the Proco also by now. I forgot my point. Whatever my point is. Yeah, excuse me. It looks like the future design space of Wayland or HB involves very specifically being able to res or de-res ice on your command. So once you can res all your ice, like Hermes does get a lot worse. So I even think in the second half of the set, Hermes will take like a down step. There, draw. Okay, that's good. So let's just gut their economy, put that on HQ. So here we can top deck regulatories. We have to top deck either a pivot or the last end of line. So not great odds. And if they ever go to fewer cards in the hand, we can end align them. Divert power stock's going up. Yeah, I don't know. There's always combo decks that divert powers in, but it's never the best card in the deck. It's always like, we have to do this. All right, we're just rezzing this stuff to, we don't actually need the bad publicity here. Fire all? Wait, for real? I thought they would jack out. Weird. Then they flip switch? Oh, to undo the trace? But how are you going to get through this decoder, the magnet? What's happening? Divert power is nasty and Spark. River, how's it going? Is this the River? It's okay in Spark. It's not even amazing in Spark. I don't know. Wait, how are they going to get through this? I trash your breaker. What's happening? Is there like some en passant play we don't know of? It's back. Divert power is going to be appeased in a prison deck centered around a bladed barrier and something like Keeling. Oh, it's cool that you can fast advance at Keeling. You can speed up Keeling. Yeah, there's a chance that it does something with a bladed. That's true. It is getting better. Oh, we win. There is like, there, we finally did it. They had a puffer there. They had a puffer. What is happening? Whoa. Firstly, they were on the secret tag pick win. They had smartware. But yeah, puffer is really wild. It takes up all the MU in the world. Easy peasy. We had a 3-pointer. I had a 3-pointer in hand. I think you had a couple turns there to snipe it. I totally goofed the trigger on the second ice. You don't suck. What's it called? The second ice res force thing. So I meant to trash it. You don't suck. You don't suck. You see? It's catching on. You either go broke or go smartware. All right, yeah, it's cool. The Oppo research is not as powerful as Harding News, but it seems good. Thanks for the game. I think we're gonna go on to build some other stuff. Yeah, we're gonna do some news real quick, and then we're going to build some Cybersand decks. Hey, cheers. Free Adam. All right, here we go. News. Ready. Let's start. We put up a tier list video. Look at that. That is Jeff and me. We go through the tier list video. I'm going to respond to the comments today. This came out just today. Run our tier list. I think already, like, since the video came out and since the other video came out, like, my opinions have already changed. I think there's a couple cards we're too low on that might be pretty obvious. I think in this one, we're generally doing pretty okay. I do think there's a chance Airblade is a bit more playable. If everyone's playing Funhouse, it's totally reasonable. I know people love it with Banhar, but whatever. And I think Kurapira, we were a bit too harsh on because I think people are just going to play it. They're just going to play it because nobody's running big strength barriers until they do, as much as it's not amazing. So that's fine. Otherwise, the other side is on Jeff's channel. You can watch that, subscribe, leave a comment there. I was talking to Jeff after. I can't believe it. There's a bunch of sections where like I misread cards and I start cursing, or I say like, oh, cut that out. And then he didn't edit them out, which I think is so much funnier. He was embarrassed, I think, a bit after, but it's a good video as well. We go through the corp side. I think here too, there's like certain cards that I was like, I think this is really good. And Jeff's like, I don't know. And then other cards that Jeff's like, I think these are really good. And I said, I don't know. And I think both of us were right, that both of the cards that we thought were better than the other were actually better cards than they ended up on this chart. I'll let you come to conclusions of what those are, but I do think there's two cards that we're both fighting for that we have to convince the other player, and we kind of pull our rankings down. We should have believed in each other a bit more, which is great. I love bloopers. Yeah, trying to figure out what Adrian Seiss says. Speaking of Sangren, announcing 2 upcoming Eternal tournaments. I had no idea about this. So we're excited to announce that Null Signal Games are running 2 Eternal format events in the lead up to 2023 World Championship. If you don't know what Eternal is, it's the format where you can play with the entire card pool. It's obviously like, you know, somewhat intimidating, and has this point system where certain cards are worth certain points. So if you want to put any copies of Account 7 into your deck, it costs 3 points. And every deck can only have 7 points. The point system, it moves up and down, so it is changed pretty consistently based off of feedback. And Eternal is like a really wild format. It has some of my favorite cards of all time because they've rotated, but it's also an incredibly powerful format. There are certain games that can be over on turn 6 very consistently. There's combo decks that can kill you out of nowhere. It's like the absolute Wild West out there. But you can also play like reasonable fair Eternal, where it's just like, oh, this just has a couple more cards for I like playing noise deck, and that works as well. But the power ceiling on this format is wild. It is really, really high. I know Jeff played some Eternal games on his stream 2 weeks ago. If you want to check out what that looks like with the new cards, a bunch of the new cards actually do slot into Eternal lists, which is sick. But there's 2 events. They're going to be online. They're on Saturday the 26th and September 10th, because apparently hold on, this is important because Crown of Servers has Eternal in it. What? I've been wanting to say, I think the best part of your tier list videos is that they're first impressions. It freezes a fun moment in history. Yeah, looking back at them is really interesting to be like, oh, okay, we were really wrong because of this. And like, I don't think being right is that important, is understanding like why. And we try and give ourselves the best out there to be like, we think this could be good if this and this and this happens. Right now, no, but if that happens, yes. Which, you know, that's the best you can ask for. So, okay, if you don't know, Crown of Servers is this team tournament that has been going on attached to Worlds for basically forever, as long as I can remember. It happens the day before Worlds, and it's a team tournament, which is something that doesn't happen enough in Netrunner organized play. The idea is that you and 2 other players sit down across from another team, and then generally based off of how Crown of Servers used to work, is that would be played in the standard format, and then you and your 2 teammates all have to play a different faction and also a different ID. Sometimes there was looser rules, but that was how it works. And so you sit down from another person, and it's just like one of the wildest tournaments because it's before Worlds. And so a lot of people want to like, they're kind of like, you know, holding their hot tech. They don't want to talk about it, but they're playing good stuff and having fun too, because it's a team tournament. You're allowed to table talk with your friends, ask for advice, but also it's one of the most varied metas by like necessity. It's because you know you're going to go to the event and you're going to play against every single faction because of course you are. It's also really cool. On a team, whoever is doing the best on the team has the highest score will play whoever is doing the best on the other opposing team. So you also end up with fair matchups as much as possible, just like double or single-sided Swiss should get you to. But it's just a really fun format because it's just the weirdest, wildest meta where you have to build decks that are good into everything, because you'll run into the Jinteki matchup 1 in every, you know, 3 rounds. It's totally different this year. Apparently one of the players will be playing standard, one of the players will be playing startup, and one of the players will be playing eternal. What? It doesn't care about factions. It doesn't care about anything. That's all the rules are, which like, finding someone who plays standard, easy. Finding someone who plays startup, easy. Finding someone who plays eternal, that's kind of difficult. Like, I think there's going to be a lot of people that have to learn eternal really quickly, and they're going to be recruited as their like team's eternal sicko, who's, you know, out there like trying to kill people with a Stell Moon on turn 4 with brain rewiring combo. I am so underprepared for this meta. I cannot tell you anything that's good about Eternal. I've played so few games of Eternal. This means probably I have to, but like there is going to be a lot of interesting politicking about how to build teams, because those are 3 very distinct fields of play. I don't know how to feel about this. I think it's cool there's more Eternal out. I wonder if that is less or more approachable than old Crown of Servers. I'm very interested to see how that plays out. But for me, like, that's daunting. I honestly don't know how to deal with that. So like, I think there's gonna be so many people be like, sign up, I'll be the standard player, I'll be the endurance player. And then someone will be like, you know, absolutely wild there. I'm hesitant about the multi-format format, but it's certainly different. It is definitely different, right? Like there's nothing wrong with mixing it up, but like, I don't know. Oh man, I don't know. I don't know what to do with this anymore. I'll definitely be playing. That is generally because we do casting often, and I don't know what if I will be casting a Worlds. All that stuff is yet to be determined. But yeah, I always try and play at Crown of Servers. That's my like Worlds game for me. Not the starter player, the endurance player. Yeah, that's the endurance player. You put on your captain hat, you go to work. I shouldn't be so shitty towards startup. But yeah, no, I think that's what happens. Okay, this is so cool. So we talked about APAC was this last weekend. This is awesome. So Tommy Joe put this together, and it is a write-up that talks about APAC and then also like goes together and collates a bunch of lists. There are so many games, like I know Flesh and Blood does this, where they do tournament recaps. So people who are not plugged in, who are not watching, stuff like that, can go here and see it, the meta. And sometimes you have write-ups, sometimes you'll have interviews, photos. Some of that stuff probably doesn't make sense for an online event. But like this is a really cool way that you can see this and without having to go into always be running. But most importantly, that people who are not as plugged in as maybe you are, who's watching the stream or who's part of a Discord or whatever, can know that there's folks out here who are like doing cool stuff, and these are what deck lists look like. I think these write-ups are so cool. I feel like there's a lot of stuff that like the Null Signal Games page could be doing that like other like, you know, big card game stuff do. Like, you know, Flesh and Blood, look at all the supportive stuff, interviews, articles from people. There's so much cool stuff that could happen. But making people aware that organized play is sick is an awesome thing to get on the Null Signal Games front page. So amazing, really, really cool stuff. And you got to look at some deck lists. I don't like the new COS format. I think if there's a clear best deck in any format, you'd be playing the same matchup back to back to back to back. Yeah, Kat, I think you're right about that. Like that is going to be potential. I don't want to be too pessimistic about it, but I think that's potentially the problem. Is like I went to Crown of Servers because I wanted something different and fresh, right? Like I played against last Crown of Servers, I played against everything. But now it's like you're going to be a startup player. Every single matchup is going to be against like and I'm not saying it's the best deck in the format, but like Lu Endurance or Padma Endurance or whatever the best endurance deck is. Again, I should stop harping on endurance, but you know what I mean, right? Like if there's one really good Eternal deck, can enjoy playing against only Cerebral Imaging for like it's only like 4 rounds or whatever. But I agree. Like, I don't know if there's a clear best deck, that's for sure. But I feel like in some formats, it's like if Good Stuff Hoshiko is the best runner deck to go into that format, could be. Yeah, you're going to be playing against entirely Good Stuff Hoshiko. And then the next day, you're also going to be playing against entirely Good Stuff Hoshiko if you're playing in Standard. If that is, again, the best deck, which I don't know if it is, but whatever you put in there, I think there's a chance that, well, Crown of Servers classically was like a celebration of what's different. This might be a bit more homogenous. I think it's not unlikely you'll have 2 teams running in with an entirely mirror match, an exact mirror match. Have NSG said anything about startup bans for the cycle? No, I don't think so. They did the ban article as of, right, like when the new set came out. I'm not sure if they mentioned startup in there. They've said before, like they're looking at startup. I honestly don't think, if you ask me, I don't think NSG will do a ban list for startup ever. I'd be really surprised if they do. I think they want to make startup as like approachable as possible. And genuinely, like startup is a cool format, but if you want to like, you know, get into the ban list and become one of those players who's a bit more engaged potentially, you can always go off and play Neo, which is not an officially supported NSG format, or you can go play Standard. And like maybe forcing people into Standard is like the thing I want. But yeah, I don't know if they will. I'd be genuinely surprised if they will, because the card pool is so small, and then new players being like, oh really, you banned one of the, you know, dozens of cards I own? It feels weird. Maybe. I'm trying to find the ban list article. Also, I feel like COS players are not playing all the best decks. It's always been more pet decks and whatever people vibe with. It is because people don't want to play their Worlds decks because they're hiding it. But I think you're still going to see a lot of players, especially middle tables. Like, it's really funny. I think middle tables, it's like that same sort of weird thing that we saw at APAC, where there's a lot of people that like play what they think is the best deck, whether it converts or not. Like, one of the safest things to do is if you're a middle table player, somebody who like has, you know, reasonable results, you play well, you know, but I don't know, you'd be surprised to be in a top 16. Those are often the players who are net decking the things, right? Like, there's this weird graph of, you see weirder stuff sometimes at the top of COS and weird stuff at the bottom of COS, and the middle is like all the people, you know, playing what's functional. And like, yeah, power to them. It's sick that they can net deck or grab a deck online that's recommended from a friend and play that out. This is running really slow. I should have just searched ban list update, right? Did I miss it? SBL. You went past the ban list. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. 23, right? Thank you, Croy. All right, so let's see if it says startup anywhere. It does not mention startup, so no. There was no communication, at least here on startup. I don't know whether it's different on different channels, but no, this is entirely standard. Okay, let's talk about APAC real quick. We're gonna get into some deck building. So APAC was the new tournament, the new meta. I think there is a chance that we were a bit ambitious. We were so excited for APAC. We still were. Mind you, you can watch APAC. It's up on Twitch, but it's also already up on Null Games' YouTube channel. So if you go to the video section, it's in there. It's down there as well. So there's both days. We did a bit of commentary for the first 2 rounds of day 1, and they were fire rounds. Like, it's very exciting when you get into the first round, you're spectating wild tables. We saw like people die to Audrey. We saw some really wild stuff. The first 2 rounds were like absolutely killer. And then it got too late to me, but shout out to all the folks who did streaming. So Mondi was running the stream. We were with River on Miles on day 1. On day 2, it was River and Tharantar, I believe, and Mondi running the stream. But yeah, it was really great. And all that stuff is up there for you to watch. If you haven't checked it out, it's fantastic. And you get to see some of the new cards. I think, again, maybe we should have expected this, but there is a lot of players who come to the event, right? We have a bunch of, you know, brand new cards, but the set has only been out for like less than 5 days. So you're seeing a lot of decks where it's just like, hey, this is, you know, Good Stuff Hoshiko with 1 or 2 different cards. And like, that's totally fine. I don't think we're going to see the bigger splashy decks. Like, we're going to see more Arisanas and stuff like that. I think Good Stuff Hoshiko is still really good without the bin breakers. I think we're going to have to deal with that reality relatively soon as well. But tune into this week and maybe next week, and maybe we'll see a bit more of the spicy list break the top cut. Otherwise, we saw Epiphany Analytica and we saw Reality Plus asset spam decks. These things are kind of a bear to play against, right? Like, it's Oppo's different than hard-hitting news. It is very different. With the Reality Plus, it's so much easier to play. But we saw a lot of these decks go to time or drag out really horrendously, because I think these decks are actually kind of bad at closing the game out as long as the runner can trash the right stuff and has a modicum of credits. That's kind of what I've seen from my testing, is like the win condition if the runner goes tag me. And this list, for instance, that I just brought up randomly, one of them is a single end of line and single market forces. Like, I don't get it. I don't fully understand it. We saw a lot of these decks like nearly deck out. They're like kind of tedious. So understanding how we can make like an Epiphany Analytica, or unfortunately for Reality Plus, it's just like, can you score an AR enhanced security on turn 1 or turn 4? Otherwise, these things like they kind of fall apart a bit. Good stuff, Hoshiko. We're seeing people play Biobands. We're seeing some people play Hermes, which is really exciting. We're seeing almost no one play the price. I think this is one of the few ones in the top cut of a Hoshiko decks playing the price. This card is slept on. This thing is amazing. We'll see more of it this weekend for sure. And then we saw a bit of like, what's it called? Hannah, which I think is also really exciting. But otherwise, in terms of like the top cut, is all Hoshiko, barring 2 cool decks. Hutuno it's on Anarch. So Sebastian K is on an Arissana deck. This is a really exciting deck. I think there's some really cool things here with the Arissana. The 3 Gachapon, I'm kind of taken by. I want to try that a bit more. This is a way that you can install a program on the corporation's turn, so you can trigger Lily Pad consistently. It gets out a lot of the ugly cards from your deck anyways. The fact that you have 2 other copies of Lily Pads and like 3 Vernissages, extra Dream Nets, you can get rid of that. I think Dream Net is a card that unfortunately is like straight up necessary in Arissana, because you need some sort of value attached to your running. So I think that's a really nice inclusion, and it works really well with the Gachapon. So I need to try that out. This is also just like good stuff Arissana, which has the deep dive threat, which I think the deep dive threat is actually much more reasonable than Conduit. I think Pichasau deep dive is so easy to play, and if corporations are rushing into remote servers, it is a legitimate way to close the game out relatively quickly. So I think this is a really cool list, and I'm excited to see Arissana. I think we're going to see a lot of Arissana this weekend. I've heard rumblings of, you know, like Prognostic Q-Loops Arissanas, or whether we're going to see like World Tree Arissanas. There's like so much flexibility there. But again, I'm not trying to be hard on the top cut players. They did a fantastic job. They played through, well, mostly through 7 rounds. Again, this weekend will be single-sided Swiss versus double-sided Swiss. I feel like, oh man, I'm starting to like double-sided Swiss way less over time as it goes on. But like these players did really well getting to the top cut, so I don't want to like poop on that. Got here just in time to get reminded of my horrible finals play. No, Jai, you played good. You played good. Well done. Got to disagree with the analysis. I think the other deck I wanted to shout out, what was the other in the top that wasn't Hoshiko? The Tau deck. Yeah, Jai's Hermes Tau deck is really fun. The idea is that you can move ice and then bounce it. It's a really cool way that we're seeing Hermes in every faction besides Criminal at top tables is fantastic. And then again, the NBN Reality Plus decks that you're expecting are pretty sick. There's some other splashy inclusions. Shout out to, I think this sort of archetype is like absolutely not seen at top tables besides Pouch Server playing this Asa deck. I think Asa is easily one of the best IDs, and I was surprised to see so little of this. The Wage Workers is such a good thing. The Ice Suite is actually really good. A quad project feels pretty reasonable, and then understanding what to do with the Ice Suite, what to do with the operations and the upgrades is very, very interesting. There's a lot of flex here with like how many biotics, how fast can you go, the sort of like weird board states you create. We also saw on stream this sort of like interaction with Tachubola and Tranquility Home Grid. That's always worth looking at because that's a very interesting timing window. But these sort of lists I think are very, very splashy with a lot of player expression. A53, I'm a newer player who just punched me, who you just punched with meat damage 2 games ago, and I'm playing in my first tournament tomorrow. Do you have any tips or unspoken rules aside from your video? Can I chat joke during the game, for example? Yes, 53, how's it going? Firstly, welcome. I hope your tournament tomorrow is great. Organized play is amazing. Even if you're like a newer player and you think you're going to get bodied at a tournament, yeah, maybe you lose your first round, but then you play against someone who also lost their first round. And as the day goes on, you'll become more and more confident and more comfortable, and you'll play against someone with the same score as you. So like it evens out. So like it might start a bit rough if you find losing to be like daunting in a social space, but let me tell you, losing Netrunner is still really fun. Do you have any tips on unspoken rules aside from your video? We have a couple tips videos. We have a tips video, like basic tips. We have a tournament tips video, but that's more important if you're going to a big tournament that's all day, like a Worlds or a Nationals, Continentals. That has some rules in it about like pile shuffling and like, you know, tournament prep stuff. Can you joke during the games? You can. You are allowed to joke. You're also allowed to technically, okay, I don't want to say this because if you do it wrong, it's against the rules and the spirit of the game, but technically you're allowed some amount of misinformation. You can joke about what the cards are, but if someone asks you like cards and deck or anything about the board state, you have to give them the accurate answer. But people are super friendly. Go ahead and joke around. And very importantly, the most important thing is talk to your opponent after the game. If they seem willing to talk, 99% of the time they do, to talk about like, oh, how did that go? Oh, that was exciting. And then you can get feedback to be like, oh, a lot of times they'll tell you if they're playing the corp, you're playing the runner, to be like, oh, if you ran HQ, I had an agenda. I was so worried you're going to do this or do that. And that actually gives you a lot of insight into the sort of things that you can't tell that you're missing out on because you're not sweating with the face down cards on the other side of the table. So talking to people is super, super important. Most important thing though is like just straight up have fun. It's really, really fun, the game, to meet people who care about this game too, that you know is a cool thing. You probably have a lot in common. To me, the bans getting play is a sign of how little tag dodging exists in Standard. I think Baya bans is better than the amount of play it sees. I think this card is actually like really good, like easy include, even if it's not an acid meta into like Big Stuff Hoshiko. It's a lot of click compression. I think tag removal though in Standard doesn't exist. It's really hard. And that's why like you see people play really slowly. Shout out to Charlie. We didn't even talk about Charlie who won the event, but really slowly. Not that Charlie was playing the exact deck, but against these sort of decks, because Reality Plus paying 2 credits to give you 2 tags, or 0 credits, excuse me, to give you 2 tags, or 5 credits to give you 4 tags is messed up. Nobody deals with that well. You just have to take a turn off. And if they put something on the table at the same time that they hit you with that 5 credit, so be it. Now, I do think that there is a chance that Bladderwort makes no sense unless you're maybe playing Reality Plus, because with Bladderwort, you're generally floating about 3 to 4 credits, which means it's actually like really hard to oppo research people. I don't totally get this. I think the fact that with Reality Plus, you can oppo someone on 5 credits, that does make it a bit better. But this combination to me, like, I don't know if I love it. I think we also saw some people play like, what's it called? The other ones that hurt people, right? Like Vera. I don't totally get that. Maybe they work together, but I'm wondering if just playing better economy here, it makes more sense. Like straight up playing the NBN one that gives you 2 credits a turn. Because that's like a really big thing to learn with these decks. This deck, we're seeing a lot of decks in the top cut not playing hedge fund. They're not playing hedge fund. This deck runs no economy. Literally no economy. Predictive Planogram, Rashida, Maryland, Bladderwort. That's it. You can trash those cards, which means like there's a huge incentive in here just to play value-based Hoshiko. If you can just get a lot of money quickly, get all that click compression of the free card draw, all the stuff that gives you value in the background, like that's a hard thing with Criminal. It's like in Anarch, you're getting, you know, all your Paladin dollars and your Fermenters are ticking up, right? Like all this stuff is really good because you spend 1 click and then it gives you value while you're clearing the board. Criminal is more about like this event does something now. But if you can deal with this stuff, and mind you, Federal Fundraising is a messed up powerful card and very taxing to play on JNet. It's very hard to tell what your opponent's doing on JNet with this thing. I'm excited to see this in play in person. I honestly think there's a chance that 3 Federal Fundraising, like I think this card might need to be unique just because do you know how long in person it's going to take someone to fire 3 Federal Fundraising cleanly? It's a nightmare. It's literally a nightmare. Imagine someone has a daily business show, 3 Federal Fundraising. It literally start a turn trigger takes about 3 minutes, even on JNet. And JNet sometimes makes it easier, sometimes make it harder, but this is like a really ugly card to not be unique. I'm finding out. I think it's a very powerful card, but like, just watch out. None of these decks are running hedge fund. If you contest their economy, they literally do not have economy. So Miss Bones, whether you want to play that Anarch, but check this out. Like so many of these decks aren't running hedge fund. This one is, well, it's the outfit, but like Styx is not running hedge fund. No hedge fund. Sebastian, not running hedge fund. Oh, wait. This is Restoring Humanity. This is running hedge fund. Yeah, it's running hedge fund. This deck, your Digital Life combo with Bacterial Programming is so funny. Crowfee, no hedge fund. No hedge fund. Gentuno, no hedge fund. It's fine. Pouch Server, no hedge fund. Like, Asa's not playing hedge fund. Just keep that in mind. Contesting their assets is so important to be able to quickly do it because these decks just do not have economy. They're not playing economy. They're not main boarding economy in operations. So if you can control the board, you can control the game. Keep that in mind. It's like wild. This is the most decks I've ever seen in Top Cut not playing hedge fund. And a lot of people look at that and be like, well, that's weird. But classically, they were like controlling the message decks back in the day. They didn't play hedge fund. Like a lot of acid decks want to do that more. But just understand, if you can conversely deal with their board, and when cards like Oppo Research cost 5 credits with Reality Plus, yeah, it's a bit different. I also really like this sort of deck that I think Tuno and Crowfee were playing, which is kind of like the Asmari decks, like, where it's like, it's not so much about spamming assets, it's about like, you know, the sort of seamless launch threat behind ice. I like that a lot. You might be surprised to hear that I went to timed in 0 games over the weekend. Part of that is also good partner deck selection of the course. Oh, cool, Jai. Yeah. Hey, Diogene, been having a blast with Lou plus Hermes plus Audrey along with the Banhar Airblade combo. I know you love the Banhar Airblade combo. I don't get it. It's like, can't you just draw 3 cards? But yeah, the interaction with Banhar and Airblade is you can take 3 damage for free, which is neat. It might be slower on JNet, actually. The interface is not clean. It's not clean in the chat log either. It's really hard to tell what's happening. The good thing is that you were never supposed to let a federal fund survive, so multiples are rare to see in the wild. They are rare, but I do think also this sort of deck gives into the sort of play style where like if you fall back on the board state because your economy doesn't come together, you let the deck go out. You let it go wide for like at some point you just fall and then you can't catch up and then you try and close the game in 1 to 2 turns. Generally you make some runs, you get oppoed, and then you close the game on turn 2. So there are some board states in which you have to let the federals going. Obviously, if you're doing that, you're losing, but I do think those play patterns show up. And then like federal fundraising is actually really hard to win the game when 3 of these are on the table, because the corporation basically has full control of what they're drawing into. So they're never flooding up, and they can ensure the top of R&D is relatively clean. So like, it's such a messed up, powerful card because it protects literally every central server. Federal fundraising protects R&D, it protects HQ, and it gives you forward tempo. It's a messed up, powerful card. Why must Jemison pay for the sins of Shapers? Why Tithonium cannot shine? Daniel, I don't think it's reasonable to have a barrier you can res for free that just trashes programs that wins the games on the spot. It's impossible to play into it, right? Like, every criminal has to, on any board state, if a corporation has one agenda in the score area, cannot safely make runs until they have a fractor down. Like, that just means you're not going to run. It's just not healthy. But the big thing about FF and DBS is how easy you can get a game loss IRL if you forget your DBS with Rashida and FF draw a card to the bottom of the deck. Yeah, exactly. There's so many weird conditions where this will just cost you games because it's really hard to like make sure your opponent is doing this. It's really hard to miss the daily business show on the first one, and then Rashida fires, and then like, it's really ugly. Sometimes you die to Saisantan without airblades. Jackson. Yeah, 5 net damage into a Saisantan. You should just hush it. Just hush it. Just hush it. Mercury with banner is fun. I'm working on a video for next week that is a banner Mercury, and in all of my games, which has not been that many, I have not installed a banner yet. I just haven't installed a banner. It's really good at Mercury abstractly, but I just haven't installed it. It's weird. Given I reckon the outfit is going to continue to be popular with fast events, what would you recommend as a deck to learn for counterpick to the rough ice and fast events? Oh yeah, cool. So we didn't talk about this. Shout outs to Charlie. This outfit deck is neat. It is the exact same agenda suite we were playing. It is running NGO front, which is interesting. It's running Spin Doctor, but no Rashida. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I don't know why exactly that happens. And then when it comes to the Ice Suite, it's the 3 Envelopment Ice Suite, 3 Trebuchet, 3 Valentau, 2 Winchester, 3 Border Control. So the big thing with this deck is that it can run Big Deal. If you're not familiar with Big Deal, you can convert 17 credits into some amount of Project Atlas counters, which is very powerful, because once you get a Project Atlas with some amount of counters on it, you can just score out from there. And that's really powerful. Just big dealing out something. So like, this is the unfortunate part with this sort of deck, is like it almost never builds a remote server. So you saw there's a lot of decks where, a lot of games where you had 4 ice on R&D, 5 ice on HQ. And like, I don't love that play pattern. How can you deal with it? If you have any way to like stop the big deal, which would basically be like, it's hard to stop one of them. If you can pull Clot and instant speed, it can sort of get around it as long as you can deal with the Mavirus, but they have ways to deal with it. Again, you can install Mavirus, big deal. You can get away with it. It's okay. When it comes to the Ice Suite, I don't fully understand the entirety of the Ice Suite. I think Envelopment is in a really good spot right now. People aren't playing Banner, of course, but like, it's hard to get through this earlier with Cleaver, and it's hard to get through this with Banhar. It's hard to get through this with the Botchless. Like, that seems like it's in a good spot. Valencho is something that you can actually just beat with money. If you just have a lot of money, you can beat the Valentau. It's kind of hard to do that for sure, but like, it's something that you don't often have to break. You just run through it for 2 credits, as long as, again, you have more money than the corporation, which is possible after they big deal and you have bad publicity, right? I think we saw some finals games where like the runner could have gone through the Valentau, but they broke it instead, which I don't think I fully agree with. I think Winchester to me makes little to no sense. I'm not sure if this is because of some reason, but playing an ice that has traces on it for a deck that's expected to take 3 or 4 bad publicity, to me doesn't make a lot of sense. I think the biggest issue right now is Wayland just doesn't have sentries. Like, Wayland doesn't have sentries. They didn't have a lot of sentries going into the rotation, but like, I build a Wayland deck, I don't put a sentry in it. I don't. Like, unless you're running half run or Archer, which I think there's some good incentives to do it. Maybe you can play Ballista. There's just no sentry that I think is easy and cheap to play, that you feel good about. Like, honestly, would I play Tithe? Maybe. Not in this deck, but like, I think I'd be sooner to play Tithe than a lot of the Wayland sentries, because I don't want to forfeit an agenda to Archer, as good as that is. And it's probably better than we think it is, considering there's no like return to hand. Stavka, I think Stavka is okay. I think the 2-string Stavka hitting is like, Amaku is everywhere. It might happen. Maybe that's the beauty of 7-string Stavka, but maybe I need to readjust to this, where like, program destruction as a win condition wasn't very relevant for a long time, and maybe we should just play a bit more of it. And classically, that's how Wayland Supermodernism decks worked back in the day, that sort of archetype, where that was the 3rd angle of attack, which maybe we have to like go back here. Surveyor for Glacier, I think that Surveyor is actually really bad right now. There's just everyone, right, is playing either some amount of, firstly, you can't do it in bad publicity, and traces don't work very well, but like, you can't do Boomerang deals with this as much as you don't see Boomerang, but like, they Botchless this really easily, they Banhar this really easily. It's like, I don't know. And the coolest thing that you can do, actually, which really helps so much against this deck, is Anarch should be playing Noom. Noom is really good right now. It turns out Noom is fantastic. You get this down for 4 credits. That's a bit expensive, but like for 4 credits, you're getting through a trebuchet. That's the best. Like just literally the best. You can't ask for better than that. I think Noom is really, really good. Especially because you're going to have some amount of bad publicity. You're ending up getting through trebuchets for like 2 credits, 0 credits in a late game. I think you saw Anarchs play the Noom specifically for the outfit, and I think it's one of the cards you can put into your deck that really helps against the outfit. So there are some cool things you can do. Boomerang kind of works. Border Control has to deal with that. Playing Freedom, again, also I think Audrey to some extent makes a lot of sense. You're seeing about 1 or 2 Mavires in every list, but like trashing their operations, getting through some of their big eyes for just Audrey counters, it's pretty reasonable. 4 credits for a drafter though, yeah, but those are the matchups where you lean more on Amakua, right? Tithe feels better with Boot gone, but worse with APOC gone. Yeah, D, it's like somewhere in the middle. Like it's so much better now that like they have to put a breaker down. They probably Amakua it, so like, Does Hush do Surveyor, Trace 0, Strength 0? Yeah. Yep. Hush is really good. Yeah, Hush does eat it. It should be 0. If X doesn't have a value, classically Netrunner it's 0. Num breaks Drafter for the same cost as Carmen. That's wild to me. Oh, is that true? I also think like Carmen is overrepresented. Like I think people are splashing Carmen in their deck. I don't know about this. Like you have to figure out what breakers you're breaking, but like Mimic is probably playable. I think if you're playing Criminal, which you know people aren't, like I think Revolver is just fine. Right? Like if you're playing against Asa Group, you get 2 credits to go through a drafter, 2 credits to go through an Ansel. You've solved the whole Sentry issue for 2 credits. Num plus Audrey is very reasonable killer solution IMO. There are no killer punishes like Rap and VSA. There is Swordsman, but no one's playing it, Jai. But yeah, no one's playing it. Yeah, I don't know. This deck is really strange to me. I don't fully get parts of it. It just wants to turtle up, and that's difficult. It's also very much worth noting, and I don't think we saw this, is like Big Deal's trashable. Like we didn't see a lot of aggression early, and obviously that's a bit difficult when the money is really big. But like just trashing Big Deal, like getting enough accesses on HQ is game winning. Because if you trash the 2 big deals in this deck, it dies. Like they have to like spin doctor it back in and pivot. Maybe they have regulatory capture there. So like it's hard to do everything at once. Of course it is. But yeah, trashing these is actually really important. Just getting more access is really important. Hey, Astro Channel, good morning. How you doing? What's Friday looking like? Yeah, I don't know. It's tricky. It's tricky. But this is like similar to the deck we played. Understanding of your opponents on Big Deal or Opera Research, that's going to be the hard thing for sure. For sure. Yeah, like 2 Carmen, there's no way that 2 Carmen and Anarch is anywhere near correct. Or 2 Unity, like that's okay. Shibboleth, is that playable? But like no Buzzsaw? Like this is the thing I don't understand. Like what code gates are you breaking that you don't want to install Buzzsaw instead of like Unity? Are people playing big code gates? Not really. 50-50 on a store champ in Melbourne tomorrow? Yo, go for the 50 that goes there. It seems like it'd be fun. Freedom can trash Big Deal for a measly cost of 17 viruses? Yeah. It'll cost you a bunch of fermenter, but you'll get there. Yeah. Anyways, it's a wild event. We're going to see more this weekend. Again, it is American Continentals this weekend. There's an article which is really nice telling you about like some things in the area. It's just like a rundown of the timing and stuff like that. I believe if you're going to the event, there is like a thing the day before if you want to go meet folks for drinks or stuff, which is really nice that it's going together. But yeah, we got to see some of the alt arts, and this will all be streamed starting Saturday on the Null Signal Netrunner channel because it is sponsored by Null Signal Games, so we'll be here. I'll be doing some casting. It'll be eventually up on their YouTube channel, I imagine, but if you want to tune in this weekend, I think it's going to be super, super hype because I think we're slowly going to see the meta more unravel. I think, again, we saw a lot of the good stuff slightly slotted in, and then every week after that, it's going to be pushed a bit further until everyone agrees good stuff Hoshiko is just the best thing you can do. Oh, I wanted to shout this out too. Where is this? Yes. So Cody, this is Encoder, who was streaming, didn't make the top cut. Again, I've been a bit too pessimistic about things today, so I'm not going to get into I think double-sided Swiss is really bad. But there's a lot of people that are 2-for-1ing it. So Cody in the last round, 2-for-1 against Charlie, and whoever, won that got into the top cut. I don't like it. I don't like the fact that like players are going into the 7-round format and playing as little Netrunner as possible because everyone's 2-for-1ing because you have to or you have no chance. People are 2-for-1ing on round 3. Like, oh boy, that's bad. But in short, I'm going to share this because Cody put this together, which is him descending into like 5 in the morning very slowly. And he just plays through the entire tournament and talks about what he's doing. He talks about his deck choices. He played a lily pad version of Lat, the sort of Lat that Cody's been playing for a long time. I think he says the lily pad is not the right inclusion by any means, that he should be playing mana camp, but he wanted to play the new cards. And yeah, you also see some sports metal. He's playing like combo sports metal with wage workers, greasing the palm, all that sort of stuff, which is really, really, really cool. This goes on. Cody's never uploaded content or done anything like this, so it's his first time. And so he showed me it because I wanted to see it, and I asked if he could share it. He said yes. So link for this will be in the description. It's really cool if you want to watch somebody talk through their games. I don't know if I said hi, Stab. How's it going? Teeny and Valenchow are the two big code gates, I think. Yeah, and like a Teeny, no, I think Vampiranasa also is real. I think Vampiranasa is hard to deal with. But like, you're not uniting through a Vampiranasa anytime soon, right? Like, this is the thing that doesn't make sense. It's like, okay, it's turn 1, right? It's turn 1. You hit a Teeny as an Anarch. Okay, you take probably 2 net damage, take 2 credits, depending on your hand. How much is this to get through Unity on like turn 1 or 2? So imagine we have 2 programs, which I think is pretty rare. But it's like boost, break. So like 5 credits, not great. Honestly, not great in the early game, like really quite bad. If we look at Vampiranasa, it's about the same. It might be a bit more, but it's about the same. Like you have to do probably boost twice and then break 4 Severtines. So maybe 6 credits. And then what is it with Buzzsaw? Like it's not that much worse. Like with Buzzsaw, you go through Vampiranasa for without any support, which you could be obviously playing Leech. You are playing Leech, but you get through Vampiranasa for 5 credits. It's cheaper. A Teeny, I think it is about the same. And maybe Unity scales into the late game. I just like, I don't know if you need a late game solution. I think you just need Amakua and then get down to breakers that matter. Cody's a great guy and deserves those views. Yeah, no, Cody's great. We've known Cody for a while. We always played like very similar deck lists for a long time, but I got to meet him for the first time in person like many, many years ago at APAC. Really nice dude. Always message about like tournament decks and stuff like that. Still can't believe I stayed up until 8 a.m. to play an APAC just last week. It's so wild for all the hardcore folks from Europe and basically not the APAC region who are like out late playing. Cause like, that's awesome. Everyone loves that. My AR rig evaluation is that your decoder solution is Ngolo or Unity and pray your entire rig is in the top 20. I think you can play Buzzsaw and like, honestly, do you play like Looking for Job Error? Do you play Ice Carver? Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Do you play Leech? It's harder to play Leech. Everyone's on is on Mavirus, but like this is totally doable, I think. This is a bit rough, but like there's ways to do it. Time zone advantage was not enough to push me past 50th place. How was your event? All right, we're gonna do some deck building. I actually want to start here because this is a deck that Jeff was playing some Asa, and I asked like, what about if we put Cybersand Harvester into the deck? So this is just an Asa group deck. We want to go fast, we want to tempo out, and we have Cybersand Harvester. I've been playing a couple Cybersand Harvester decks to be able to figure out how much I like the card. I think the coolest it is in Op, where it actually gives you a lot of tricks, and we have like a very, very fast, super fast events Op deck with 3 Cybersand Harvester, as weird as that is. This deck is interesting. I think this has a higher ceiling of like, you know, fiddling, but I think for now we can play this sort of list, which in short is basically just an Asa shell. You have full power, again, no hedge fund, but like fully operational to get a lot of value. We have Tranquility home grids and mana garms to be jamming in remote servers. I dropped, I think, a biotic for a restore just to see how restore works with wage workers. I don't think we're gonna be firing wage workers that often with triple install, or sorry, with triple operation. We're gonna be triggering a lot with triple install and triple advance into the 4th advanced. Why the harvester? This seems okay. It's an econ card. We're not playing hedge fund. Why not? And it goes in a remote server. This is good counting for the draft. I have Cybersand in Asa group. Oh, you drafted Cybersand? That's actually like relatively good in Asa. The thing you have to watch out for, Eric, is people just won't run. You need to give them a reason to run. Because if they see that you have a Cybersand, they'll just sit back. They'll be like, whatever, it's fine. Sand, Asa. Asand. Group. Ooh. As and group. That looks awful. That looked better in my head. Not playing hedge fund? Nah, we don't need to. It's not a comparatively good card to everything else. Kit with Buzzsaw is pretty good. I think Kit with Investigator is like better than it looks. Kit with Buzzsaw is okay. The thing is like with those kit decks, they're not running that often. Like that's the big thing with Shapers. Like you don't have to run often enough to get value out of Buzzsaw that you can sit back and afford to like play Investigator and have some flexibility. Like Kit, Investigator, Hermes, I don't know. Probably not better than Dao, but I think it's interesting at least. Oh, that is the macro that I hit when asking people if I can record. That's the macro I hit when it's a stream. Is hedge fund not an auto include anymore? It depends on your deck very heavily. A lot of acid decks back in the day didn't always play 3x hedge fund. Because again, the most important thing that you can do is put 3 things on the table, right? Like it's not that more important for them to have 5 to 9 credits on turn 1. And that's the thing with hedge fund, without oppo research, without hard hitting news, excuse me. It's like you do not need to threaten a huge credit threshold because Reality Plus still gets you for 0 credits with 2 tags on turn 1. That looks very close to what we built in stream yesterday. Yeah, check out Jeff's stream, but that was the idea. Is I basically took that shell, changed 1 or 2 cards, and then played Cyber Sand. Mercury, nice. 48 cards, so we're a bit over. We got to get those capybaras in there somehow. Hey. We played against NetDad earlier today. I don't know if we're playing this deck. Thanks, you too. What about Mini J-How? Yeah, I think Spin Doctor is a much more important card because what it does is obviously absurd. And it's also like one of the best cards in an asset deck because it just does more asset stuff. So for Mercury, we have an incentive to ice up both centrals. We're not going to. We're going to ice up HQ. How soon they get down their Hermes, that's the most important thing. So this hand, like, it's not great. That's a lot better. Okay, so Ace of Group. It says the first time a turn that we install a card, and this also works on their turn, we can install an additional non-agenda card in or protecting that server. So the idea is for 1 click, we install an upgrade, and then we put something in front of it. So Tranquility into Gatekeeper is a nice start, and then we can put Magnet on here and then click for credit. Otherwise, we could draw once. I don't know. Wage Workers on the table is pretty good too. I don't think we have to ice it up. So we'll just do triple install. So we'll do this in a new remote server. We'll ice it up. We'll get this on HQ, and then we'll put this in a new remote server. I think you need to trash this thing on site, but if Mercury doesn't have a Miss Bones, I think the, yeah, R&D is, oh, Carpe Diem. Okay, I was like, I don't know what the Archives run's happening. You're right, actually, this might be the lowest number of hedges in International Top Cut ever. I think it is. All right, so if we res here, he cannot trash these 2 cards. That puts us down to 2 credits, though. Not that we're going to res the Gatekeeper. If he flushes the whole hand, it's pretty bad. But if he uses his Mercury ability here, it's pretty okay for us. I'm going to do it just so we can res the Wage Workers and do draw. But like, yeah, Mercury gets a good early game. This being an Archives is actually nice for us because then we don't have to protect it into Amakua, which I don't know if Mercury's on Amakua, probably. No Wage Workers res for value. I don't think we want to show it on turn 1 because we're down a credit and the misinformation is more important. But yeah, that's a cool thing with this is we can res it. I think they have to res the Tranquility here. Oh, we should have res Gatekeeper actually, because we need to refill our hand because he used his ability, or sorry, he used their ability. I never know what to talk about the ID or the player. Actually, we probably should have resed here. Nah, it's fine. He needs to trash this though. But if he's on 1 credit, I think we're happy. Nice. Gotta trash one of these. 8 credits of must trash on the table. We get away with it. Okay. Ooh, nice. Really nice. So that goes in here. So I do think that we just res this. We do draw. Never punished. And now we have an extra click. So we'll res this. Get the Rashida in there. We need that to stick. We can get another ice in front of it. It's going to cost us money, so we're not going to do it. And we'll gain 2 credits. So we can at least res this. Maybe there's some diversion of funds threat, but he can run R&D in C2. Cat's Cradle, Code Gates got more expensive. Not Shibboleth. That's so weird. We can let this run through. We don't want to lose the Spin Doctor. But if he sees the 2 cards in HQ here, he's not seeing R&D. I think you have to trash the Spin Doctor. We do have a Restore, though. But that means we're going to keep the Rashida, which is sick. We have to watch out. All Code Gates are 1 up. So now he only sees 1 card. I think you're expecting to see an agenda in HQ. We have to remember R&D is totally loaded. But now we're economically okay. All right, here we go. So we haven't drawn into any of our powerful operations. Mind you, having a hedge fund in the early game would have actually been pretty okay. So now we're required to res this. So I think we want to get the drafter here. So we'll do new remote server. So we're going to do triple install. We'll get the mic there. If we can res it on a face check, that makes sense. We have to watch out. 7 credits though into the Cat's Cradle. We'll get this into server 1. I think we need the money. We could have got a card draw. We'll gain 2 credits. We'll get this into Archives, or R&D, excuse me, and then we'll draw a card. So now we have to res this for 4 credits. Ace of Group versus Essa running Banhar and Banner. They run and trash the big deal. Is that a big deal? And then what happens with threat? Oh, that's a real high threat play. A Zenith is hitting an Airblade. Interesting. So here we like have an incentive to res the Magnet. They can still break it, but it's 3 credits. Is this the first time or every? Each. So they know we have something in hand. Playing Shibboleth and Arissana, I think it's the best Dakota in the game. I think Shibboleth is really good. Okay, unfortunately, we don't have anything too tempo positive here. That's a really good start. Like, this is how you afford your triple installs. So we'll res this one. because we don't want to ice that one up. Server 3. That's fine. We'll gain 2. We'll res it. Okay, off-rolled. So now we need to get this in the remote server. It might be inside job. At least we have the mana garm for that. So here we do triple install. We have a seamless in hand to back this up. I think we're going to get the money. And then here we need install again. So we'll do this on server 1. And then we'll just take a credit. Next turn, and let Hermes comes down, makes it a bit ugly. But that's the thing, is we got our ice up. A diversion of funds here would be pretty good. Okay. Nice. Advance, advance, advance. We actually don't even have to seamless because the wage workers here. I think it's better for us to advance this thing and score it out. And that is the power of wage workers. This is fired every single turn so far. We are playing a 4-click corporation. And what we were doing wasn't like backbreaking. Like, it's not like we were doing nonsense to get our ability to fire. It's like slightly suboptimal, but like, yeah, this is so good. This card's absurd. All right, they're going in. They can only see one card here because they're actually going to break something. They get a card draw though. Oh, excuse me, that's on me. Wage workers 100% must trash at all time. And that's a big thing right now. Looking at all the top decks, if you trash their stuff, it's so important. Like, they don't have a game plan. Now when we have a loaded archives here, like face checking to a drafter is a problem. Because we get back a spin doctor on top of this mana garm or whatever. All right, they shut this down. Okay. That's fun. We can afford it, but that's fun. It's to make Mercury happen again. But if we don't res, they see 2 cards because this is not the first time you access, it's once per turn. So you choose when it happens. All right, fully op. This is where things get really flexible. So unfortunately, we don't have another card here we can get on the table. We could get a spin doctor in server 1 to be able to draw into this. I don't think we really need to. I think we're just going to start by wage workers. So we'll wage workers, we'll draw because we want a play. That's our play next turn or this turn. And we'll do credit. All right, we'll just do server 1. No, gain 2 credits, and then we'll just advance this once. We don't actually have to advance this. How much does this cost? 6 into 4. That's 10. I think we just take a credit here, because next turn we can do triple advance into seamless launch and get 2 Vitruvius counters, which is absurd. I don't think you have to trash WW on all board states. Wage workers on all board states? I would say it's close to it. All right, we're getting a drafter to fire. This is absurd. We can actually trash our spin doctor here, so we can crack our spin doctor. Do we want to? We're going to return a fully opt to hand, and the question is, what are we going to put on the table? I don't know if they're on Amakua, but the idea is that we can return 1 card to hand and then install 1 card from HQ or R&D, archives, which allows us to do this double install play. So ideally, we want to get a trigger on the Tranquility Home Grid to get credits. Putting 2 mana garm in the same server is like, you can do it. You just can't have 2 rezzed. I think getting Rashida behind this is more important. I think getting a Rashido is not that important, though, with this hand. I think we'll just put a Rashida on the table. Okay, so we'll fire them Broken Subroutines. We're going to add the fully opt to hand. And then we're just going to put Rashida on the table so that he has his homework cut out for him. We could actually ice this up clicklessly if we have an ability, but we're going to let that go. There's a lot of flexibility. What's the right play there? That might not have been it. He sees 2, though, because he fires a drafter. That's, like, really important. I don't think I have the big brain to figure out what a wage worker can stay board state looks like. I'll be trashing on site until I figure it out. I think that's going to be safer than not, Eric. Oh, Banhar. So cool. That's why they're on Airblade. And now they have to run to Rashida, which is fine. We could have put it in here. It might have been correct. Okay. Oh, man. So I actually genuinely have a problem that so many of the HB cards have the exact same color palette. If my hand was Seamless Launch, Nico Campaign, Biotic Labor, and Wage Workers, from the distance I am from my monitor, I cannot tell them apart. Because they have exactly the same colors and the tones. Like, I can't tell. I can't tell what these cards are. I have to hover over them. Like, fully op, I'm not a big fan of the fully op art, but at least, like, it looks very obviously different because it has a different shape and a different color. But all these cards, to me, like, have a Biotic in there, like the null signal gains Biotic. I can't figure out what I have in my hand. So here, with the best we can do, I think, is, like, triple advance into Seamless. That's good enough. We could also, in theory, score to put something else in the remote server if we wanted to. I think just having the Seamless on top of this is good enough. We're on 6 credits. We're weak to diversion, but we have some lines out. We'll throw out a Wage Workers. It's not the color palette. You don't think it's a lack of clear silhouette? Nah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah. It's like everything kind of, there's nothing that stands out too strong, right? Because there's not a lot of outlining. There's not a lot of clear shapes. I like the art on Wage Workers a lot, but you're right. Everything's really soft. I honestly feel like corp strategies are fast enough that a drafter fire and develop board state is basically an instant win. Yeah, or an ablative. It's really, really powerful. Just going back to an earlier comment, I've been passing on hedge fund Sure Gamble and every day I've been building since the drop. I think Sure Gamble, I don't think there's a deck that doesn't want to play Sure Gamble. The only decks that I've seen in standard that don't want to play Sure Gamble has another economy engine that is more important or more powerful. And often those decks got better when you added Sure Gamble to them. But there's no other like divergent economy engine in the entire standard format. Arguably besides, what's it called? Audrey. And even Audrey, you probably want some amount of money to trash. Okay, so now with 2 Vitruvius counters, we can do some pretty wild stuff, right? Like we actually can do 3 fully operationals and then have a click left. We also can pull up Seamless. So unfortunately here, we just need to find the Ikoa. So let's find the Ikoa. I don't know why I said unfortunately. Oh wait, there's our beautiful Cyber Sand Harvester. I think the Restore is actually okay. I would restore Rashida into this remote server, and then we can play 3 operations. Yeah. Wait a second. Audrey deck wants Gamble. Yeah, exactly. Audrey deck still wants Gamble. Okay, so we have a lot of unrezzed dice. If we install this in the remote server, we win with okay, so I'm going to set up some confusing servers. So I don't think we're going to play 3 operations unless we restore a Rashida on the table and ice it with an ablative. That's really good. And then that's 2 operations, but we're not going to play a 3rd operation. So we'll just put this in server 1. It's hard for them to deal with this. We don't have a lot of money. We have to keep that in mind. So I think we're just going to do this first. Okay, and maybe we win here. Vita fully op and get WW value. Yeah, we could have actually probably done another one. That we could have done another one and then restore. That might have been right, that we could have done fully op into fully op to restore. Because with 9 credits, we're actually pretty weak to diversion here. I think you're right, that might be right. Oh, we also have to play around this, I forgot. We're actually short on credits here. Shit. Oh, we messed it up. Yeah, we did mess it up. So we res the on cell. They take 3 net damage. This is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have to... Ooh, we misplayed it. Yeah, we should have gone for it again. This is going to cost us pretty heavily. I think we have to res the on cell here. It's either the on cell and the Cyber's Hand or the Managarm and the on cell. I think we need the Managarm. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, that sucks. That's really bad. And we're actually 1 credit short of the Gatekeeper because of the Cat's Cradle. Otherwise, like, this would be really good. But I did not count the credits. That was a bit of a punt. We'll be okay, I think, but that's a bit of a punt. Okay, they have 2 clicks left. But the cool thing is if they spend the clicks, well, we can't win because we don't have money. But if they spend the clicks, they can't... So they have to spend the money here. Why not res the Cyber here? Because it costs money. If they steal the Ikoa, at least the Managram stays. Because this cost money, right? So like it's free, but then we crack it right away. So what's the point? Like we show them what it is. Yeah, exactly. We can't pop it. This card shouldn't be in the deck. It's not good enough. Maybe we had 3 of them, and even then it's kind of expensive to get up early. I don't know if this does anything. There's just some influence floating around. I think Gaslight actually might be right. I don't know, Jeff, if you tried Gaslight in the influence slot, but I think Gaslight would be pretty good, especially because we have 1 of Biotic. But yeah, if we got another install there, I think we'd be in a okay spot. I think Restore is also better than it looks. You can restore agendas, which is really goofy. All right, so we need money fast. Oh, don't worry, we got money fast. It's Cyber Sand Harvester. Hey, there it is. Okay, so we're just fully up for a lot of money. Jam Vitruvius? That sucks. I think we have to, though. Cool. Do we want to restore for Rashida? I think it's reasonable. But then we should have done that in the other order. Oh, man, that's a botched turn, too. Because we could have restored for a Rashida or a Spin Doctor, even. We have a Spin Doctor. I think we trash this Spin Doctor. I kind of want to leave. That's the cool thing about Ablative is you kind of want to leave Spin Doctors in the archives, right? To be able to get value. Okay, so I think we can still just like install Vitruvius, advance, and then try and win with a Biotic. Yeah, that's fine. I think we just have to play the hand we have. If that was the case, we could have done triple install though. Yeah, we missed that one. Install another card. No, we'll just gain credits here and then click for credit, whatever. Not great. Not great, but good enough. Probably. We'll find out. I want to give Sand a shot, but it does seem worse than other options. Yeah, this doesn't seem amazing. I think we'd be happier if this was like Gaslight does clear itself, but if we could Gaslight for like a Biotic or Gaslight for Restore, I feel like that's actually reasonable. Okay, this Archives run is to get a free card draw and Purge. So why not? Oppo Research. Chrysopean Skimming? No. So they get to see the top 3 of the deck. It doesn't matter though. We have Spin Doctor on the table. And it's behind a Drafter. Not hot under this card. I'm glad they're trying it out, but that is one of the weird situations where we don't have an agenda in hand, so we have to show them the top of the deck. Gotta call it a night so I can catch my flight tomorrow. Yo, safe traveling. Good luck on the weekend, eh? All right. So they know we have a Seamless. So we can still do triple advanced Seamless. It costs us very little. And they know the next 2 cards of the deck. All right. Yeah, I think I would love a Gaslight here. Even a Pivot, maybe. Even maybe a Pivot, honestly. I was playing around with that influence for cards like Reversed Accounts or Tattoo. Wage Workers find reversed for 12 credits hit. That's very funny. I think Tattoo is obviously very, very good. But the problem with Tattoo is that... how much does this cost to break? This just eats their turn, right? It eats all their money, though. The problem with Tattoo is like, it's really good with defensive upgrades. I think Tattoo is probably where the slot should go. I honestly just want more ablative barriers. Like, imagine a ablative barrier fired here. It's game winning. So if we res the Mick at 7 credits. Oh no, they take 3 net damage. That's fine. So we'll crack the Spin Doctor. They saw the top of the deck anyways. So what do we want to put back in? We actually want to leave the fully op, the Seamless, and the Spin in the deck. We want to leave everything in here because of Restore. It's so goofy. No, I don't want to shuffle it back. Sorry. No break. Could you kindly run back? Like with 3 Vitruvius counters, this is like, it's like Bin Breaker Anarch. Like, no, keep them in there. They're fine. You can shuffle 1 Seamless. I don't think we really have a reason to. Like, I want to draw the agenda, and they're not threatening the Drafter. We could. And B. Kelly got really sassy with some of the new card button tooltips. Oh, some of them were really funny. They're like all in lowercase. I think the one where you trash off the top of your deck with the Lago Piranha says like rock out on it, which I find very funny. Now, the problem is we need them to run the Blade of Barrier. This is probably the worst place for the Blade of Barrier. If we put it on R&D, it's a good spot. Because I don't know how we're going to make them run this. But we also didn't put anything in our mode server, which is not good. Like, even just putting a Cyber Sand in here means they have to do something. I think we should do it. Yeah, hey, no worries. So Mercury hasn't fired a lot, but they haven't seen a Hermes, and they allowed us to Resurrect. So, like, we have to watch out that they might have a handful of, like, Estebrados and Inside Jobs. And that can potentially be very powerful. So here, I think what they do is, like, they end up, like, Chrysopean skimming us. We shove them to top of R&D, and then they understand they have to go in. But if that's the case, like, we'll put another Spin Doctor on the table. Maybe actually we wanted to shuffle there because they saw the next 2 cards on R&D, and I don't think there are agendas. Like, maybe that's a big reason. But if that's the case, like, we're going to break lock so hard with fully operational in just 1 minute. Like, there's a chance that we do... What would we have to do? We have to do fully operational, draw a Biotic, play the Biotic, replay the same Biotic, and then I think we can score out anything in hand. So there's a chance that we win next turn. Credits are kind of hard to calculate. But we can do fully op into Biotic, and then have... I think we have to do 2 Biotics, right? To have 4 clicks? I haven't seen Merc play yet. My APAC run was 7 419 outfit matches back to back. Yeah, we didn't say how 419 was the most popular runner, but did not convert at all, unfortunately. I need to check Always Be Running to see how close the 419s made to the top cut. But yeah, I think criminals just have an economy issue. Like, they just have an econ issue, it seems. I don't know. Looks bad. Yeah, they have to worry here because Biotic Labor closes the game. But having money is important for them. Yeah, I don't know how much Mercury you're going to see. I think Mercury is cool, but I think Mercury is the sort of like, it's going to take a while for this to seem good because you have to play entirely different. Econ issue is very, very true, but I think at least the cool thing is Mercury can suffice on low credits. The problem is like the best credit econ card that I think Criminal had for a while is Chesva, and like Mercury does not use Chesva. Oh, this is firing? So they know the top of the deck. So here we get a Spin Doctor. Like, whoa, this is really good for us. So here it fires. So we can get a Rashida on the table and draw a card. Oh no, we get a Rashida in hand. We don't want any cards. These cards in hand don't do anything. I guess we'll get the Seamless. And then we'll install a Spin Doctor in server 3. I think we want the money. We can ice it up, we're fine. Gain 2. And then we'll res this. So there was an agenda 2 cards down, so they knew about this Vitruvius. So now it's in hand. And now it's unknown cards in R&D. They can't steal the last Ikoa. So we just need to find the Biotic. That's fine. Install Rashida in Trank and draw? Yeah. But we went for the Spin Doctor because they knew this card here. Because they knew the next 2. Because they saw this with Chrysospian. They've been working really hard at this. Okay. So there's no agenda at the top. Concede. Oh, no. We don't have the Biotic. Oh, GG. Thanks for the game. That was turn 10. Like, this is the sort of ace of board state for turn 10. It's really impressive. Thanks for the game. How are you finding Mercury? So we need to find the Biotic. It is very low down. And this deck, mind you, is only on 1 Biotic. I think Jeff was playing 2. I think I might be right. I'm not too hot on Vovo, maybe. Maybe with Trank it's good enough. At least the Corp doesn't draw an agenda turn 1. I mercifully didn't draw into a lot. Like when they were running HQ and seeing a lot of cards, we did not have an agenda. Yeah, we drew in the right spots. If the Cybersand slots go, do you play Maryland to fill asset slot, maybe, or Trank Grid? I ideally think we play something that takes up that that gives us credits, so Maryland, but then we have influence floating. So if that's the case, we probably we change our ice weight and play Tattoo Bola, but yeah, Maryland's easily playable, and I think you play Maryland over Nico. So far, I felt like Mercury plays like an Anarch. Ronan, how's it going? Why do you think? Just like letting subroutines fire? I think the coolest deck I played against was the QTM Sable. Crazy amounts. The QTM Sable, we saw that, oh, what was their name? I forget their name, but there was a really cool Sable list we saw with Hannah. Yeah, for sure. Finding money to be an issue. Like, how do you make money? Your digital life? Yeah, maybe. I was telling, like, that was the slot that Jeff was playing. I was like, yo, play your digital life. And he didn't like it. But he was playing against very much a lot of Anarch Ma. And I think your digital life is nice because there's a lot of turns that you start with a lot of cards in hand with Trank Grid, with everything else. So I think you playing instead of Cybersand, maybe. But then I worry we have too few things to fill servers to get our ability. Technicank. Fully op into YDL, that's the idea. Yeah, but for sure. The thing is, like, this is what Jeff was saying, at least, is like after you fully op, you generally want to install things, but I think you can do fully op, your digital life, double install. That might be good enough. And I was for that. I think your digital life is better than it looks. Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. It's funny enough that the Cat's Cradle actually had an impact on the game, but we kind of misplayed to make that the case. Thanks for the game, eh? I want to play one more with the Cybersand to see if it does something. I tried with 2 copies of YDL and works well, but also Tattoo Bola. I feel like Tattoo Bola is something we're only excited to play if we're also running like 3 Mana Garm or more defensive upgrades. Because putting something into the remote server on top of the Asa reinstall, that's the most important thing. It is an econ card though, like 100%. Tattoo Bola is a slapper of a card. But I feel like if we want to do Asa tricks with it, we probably have to play a bit more. I don't even think we need to though. I think we can just play it. And like, it's as good as Magnet into and not even, well, it's not better because it doesn't eat botcha. This is from other servers, but it seems good. I liked Info Bounty and Mercury, but probably still not enough econ. Info Bounty is the thing. Okay, this is the thing I'm having the problem, Dan, with Mercury, is that I don't want to let them res ice on central servers. Because as soon as they res the first ice on HQ, hey, good day. Best of luck. Thanks, you too. Right, like, if your mark is on HQ, like, I don't want to run HQ. And maybe the difference is I'm playing quote unquote like control, where I'm aggro on the remote server but on centrals, and then I Hermes to make a run, right? This listed on Vovo has 1 Vovo. All right, 419. Yeah, we have a soft econ early. That might be hard. Let's just try to get assets on the table. Oh no. Getting a fully op trigger and then moving to another server. Yeah, that's the beauty of it. Is it double installs so easy and then you move it over. Why do y'all combo scrape with net analytics? Didn't like the card until the fired in R+. Wait, what's net analytics? Hey, how's it going? Oh, this. I've never seen this. I don't think you need this. For what it's worth, like Reality Plus just draws cards. You have, if you really want the, what's it called? The one that draws 3 or gains 3. I don't think you need it. There's no way that's the best asset. Net analytics meta. Rongi, how's it going? Am I going to be wrong about this? Because you do take a lot of tags in Reality Plus. It's unavoidable. All right. We can't get diversioned. We can definitely put cards out. We'll show them the Spin Doctor. No, you can see it. It eats our double install. No. So we're happy that we have a virus in this matchup. Okay. It's nicer to get that on HQ. It's so bad. Yeah, no, it doesn't seem great. Is Emergency Shutdown a good enough card to let you res HQA sometimes? I think so, yeah. I think you can build into it with a bit of de-res that you don't mind it too much. But the problem is, like, Criminal has so many card slot issues where, like, just putting into 2 copies of, like, Capybara, 2 copies of Emergency Shutdown comes at the cost of you playing Economy and Breakers. Or, sorry, Economy and Card Draw. Uh-oh. Help? They attacked for the Asa matchup? But in an Atea meta, how could you play this? It's an Atea meta. Only 2 servers. That's fine. Our hand is ass. Let's draw once. That's not that much better. Runners always trash it? Yeah, but you could have a better card that runners trash, right? You do both installs? Shouldn't you have to pay 419 before the second install? Because they're sequential. It's a Rashida. There's so many bad punishes here. You mean an Asa spam meta? Yeah, no, for real. We're not seeing a lot of Atea. Sokka's Atea deck was really cool. He was playing the fast advance Atea, which, like, I think he said he can score like 4 points on turn 1 or something wild. And I believe it. Dirty Laundry. I'm unhappy to see that card in Bladder R+. Yeah. You're not unhappy. Oh, yeah, you're right. Oh, that's not good. And this actually makes it easier to bladder. It's really funny. So this obviously means Amakua. Oh, don't worry. We got our 2 Cyber Sands early. We're going to make our money back. I mean, we're not going to afford any of this stuff. I mean, we'll be fine, I think. It's bad. Oh, it's bad. Okay, we need to ice some stuff up. Yeah, that's right. That's what we have. Now what are you going to do? Run? How do you add Netrunner DB search into browser? You on Firefox, if you click on any search box on the whole internet, you can right click on it and it'll be like add shortcut. And then I just did /n. So anytime I search /n, search the Netrunner DB search box. It's not a Netrunner DB thing. It's just a browser thing. All right. So this is the issues. We res 2 Cyber Sand Harvesters. We'll be bankrupt. So this puts us down to 4, which means we can still res 1 piece of ice. 4-9 asks have the same trigger condition, Andre. Yeah, that makes sense, I guess. Does it? Yeah, I guess it does. I thought about it. Not Chrome? No, I'm not on Chrome. Chrome probably can do it. All right, we have to shuffle that back. So this is where the Cyber Sand Harvester just eats our terrible remote server for a while. I played in my Hiboxia EOL deck, so I really need to dig for those sometimes. Definitely better cards out there, but enables my jank. All right, Carmen. This is such a bad start for us, and I think a big part of it is that we drew 2 Cyber Sand Harvesters instead of like a Maryland campaign. And this is our hand. And Chrome has it too, search engine settings. Perfect. I'd be surprised if Chrome didn't. Draw. Draw. Ooh, this is bad. Oh, this is really, really bad. I don't like this at all. No. Remember, this is not only bad because we flooded and because cyber sand is terrible, but yeah, we're getting the absolute gears turned on us. Oh, it's okay. How do we get out of this? Like, Shibboleth breaks us for 1 credit. For 2 credits, they can get in here. All right. Do we bank? Yeah, let's just mutually assured destruction ourselves. What are you going to do? Pay 5 credits? No, that's right. We got a free Rashida. It only cost us 3 credits. Ah, shit. It's not like they wouldn't have broken it for 2 credits. It's fine. Cool thing with this upgrade here, like this is our hot tech, is now this server exists. So we don't have to pay extra to get something on top of it. Yeah, that's what's really cool about this server. That and only that. Okay, we have to do something with the tranquility. Here we basically need to ice this thing up. You shouldn't need it if a search follows open search. Deluxe, how's it going? I don't know what that means. So we'll just do the server 4 and then we'll fully up for money. Okay. Remember, we have 2 more credits than it looks like. We're actually rich. Exist to Arissana Rocha, probably. Okay, Boomerang in the remote server. It's obviously very good. Oh, it's on HQ. We're getting diversion. Sick. That I don't care about this. This is totally fine. This is acceptable. Because that's why we have Cyber Sand Harvester. It's because now our credits are over here on top of a mana garden for some reason. How are we doing? You SPSSTA should arrive tomorrow. I'm so excited. Game Droids, how's it going? Yo, yeah, in Canada, we're getting ours next week. Okay. This is really good. They would have to pay a lot of money to get in here. Now we're going to res this. And again, we will be bankrupt. But again, we have 4 credits. This will let us fix our hand and draw into more cards. We need a wage workers. Draw 3. Fix our damn hand. Nice. What's the first thing you can build in person, droids, with your cards? And we got a fully op, which is kind of what we needed here. Is this lose a credit? What does this say? Whenever the corp creates a server, he or they lose a credit. Which means if we don't have a credit, we can't lose a credit. This is so weak to Amakua that we gotta, like, remember that. So now I think no, what do we do? I think we crack this fully op and then put us another ice on server 4. I think that's the play. The problem is it's another gatekeeper. That's pretty bad. Job interview 2. Yo, try guy. Good luck with the job interview. I think we do just crack this. Oh, wait. Sorry, we don't have to crack it. It has text. It has text. You can just take these credits to put ice on things. Oh, shit. We still have to crack it. It's okay. Boom. Mercury with Banner and Eru, probably bad, but it'll be fun. Wait, Mercury works at Eru, right? Why did I never consider that? I don't think you want to float a tag, but I never realized Mercury works at Eru. If Archives is on ice, which I think you just play Sneak Door and it's probably better. But yeah, that's neat, isn't it? I didn't consider. Cool. All right. We've gone a bit over into the deep end, and I respect that. But we are getting the network exchanged. So that is where our Cyber Sand Harvester is going to do all the heavy lifting. So here we do advance, advance, advance. We score. Sick. Okay, there's a Trank Grid in here we have to remember. Notably not unique. Yes. But again, Cyber Sand Harvester, notably not unique. The anti-network exchange tech. So we'll res this. We'll put a Spin Doctor on there. Get that cooking. No. We'll gain 2 credits. We need money. No, you can find out what this is. Because we'll res it. Okay, and this is where restore is actually really sick. We can restore the best card, Cyber Sand Harvester. Actually, I do think restore is kind of really good. We can res this. We can restore a Rashida, server 4, gain 2 credits. It's rezzed. And now we can fully opt for 1 billion credits. Boom, no hedge fund. Remember when things were looking bad? Our confidence is going to cost us this game eventually. But we have a really good turn here. They need to play breakers. Okay, sick. All right, so we don't have the Seamless in hand. We have a Vovo and we have a Wage Workers. So Wage Workers we put on the table with the Managarm, I think. We can afford to do triple install res. Yeah, we can. I think we can get the Blade of Barrier out here as well to eat the inside job. That would be nice. So we will pay extra credits for that installation ability. So we'll do server 4, install the ablative, gain 2 credits, pay 1. Okay. Then we'll install the Wage Workers in server 3. We'll res it. Because now when we do another install, which we'll put Vovo in here as our, we have to advance this once. I think the Vovo is better. I was going to consider them a virus, but the Vovo is better. And you put Vovo in server 5 to gain 2 credits. You res Vovo, and then you advance this once, and then you slide it over end of turn. Oh man, that is so cool. That is so cool. All right. And we have to remember we have a Cyber Sand Harvester at all times, which will eventually be a 2 to 4 credit econ card that we paid a credit to get on the table, maybe. So we need the Wage Workers to survive so we can triple advance this. And from there, we just win with Biotic. We Biotic top deck. Okay, this is why we need the Amaku on the table. So once they get comfortable and that is not necessary. No, that is not necessary. Yeah, it's not necessary. It's an econ card, but it's not necessary. And so now move Vovo to another server. Yeah, probably. Okay. Double Trankrid value? Yeah, we're almost at triple Trankrid value. Excuse me, that wasn't scrolling. So now let's see what they can do. Are they on Hushuk 2/2? Okay, falsified. They're guessing upgrade. Yeah, it's a Managarm. We can't res it because they'll trash this Managarm. That's fine. It was just a econ card for them. Move it server 2 for free Cyber Sand. I'd rather have the free ice. But you're right. We're at threat 4. I think he might not live if we put him there. Free Cyber Sand sounds so sick though. Okay, they're resing this. They're running it as well. It's a border control. They need to take on the Wage Workers, but at this point we actually don't care. So I don't think we could in theory like res the Cyber Sand, res the Wage Workers. It's too expensive because in theory here we can top deck at the winning play. So you can trash this for 4. I don't think they trash the Managarm for 3. But here, all we do is get our Mavirus in server 4, and then we wait for them. Unfortunately, if they face check into a drafter, they still deal with it. But if they face check into a gatekeeper, or even an ablative barrier, it could end the run. So yeah, that's why the Mavirus is so important in these lists. Does this deck have the tank? No, it doesn't. I want to play a tank deck, but Pat wanted to play tonight. We had to move Pat's stream till next week, which probably won't happen, I realize, because I won't be here on Thursday. But we're going to do a tank stream at some point. I think the tank actually has some like weird stuff to it. Running HQ, this is totally acceptable. Yeah, they weren't putting on a lot of pressure. They were setting up. I wonder if they have some weird combo that they're trying to piece together. But like things were really bad for a while. We obviously stabilized economically. Oh, damn. I'd rather have that so we can put it on the table. It sucks that's in archives because having that on the table is so much nicer for us because then we can like surprise them. Step 1 score 3/1 might work out. It's not the worst. Like that's what every Reality Plus deck is, step 1 score 3/1, and they're like, yeah, that's reasonable, I guess. Okay, so now we need to draw a 3/2 and hold a 3/2. Hagen, mind you, will eat the Amakua. Draw. Draw. No Wage Workers. This is just a drafter. I think we'll just put this on R&D and call it a day. This is remotes only, yeah. No, it's fine. Yeah. No. It's fine. Ablative can put my virus back on the board. Yeah, I know, but I don't think they're going to be running the remote server anymore. I wanted to put something in the remote server because this turn we didn't fire Tranquility, which is really bummer. And we want to put them in the remote server so they're forced to run it. So like it feels bad. But yeah, if the Ablative does fire, we can get it back. Okay. That's good. It might be a little too late. I think 2 missed bones is a starting point for criminal decks. They might be on 2. It's a tank folks are calling Stegodon. Yeah, it's because I've been having tons of fun with, especially with Bloop. I think, like, I've heard nightmares about the Bloop thing. I've heard B1001. Like, it's clearly capturing people's... we need a wage workers for that. Do we put in the remote server? Network exchange? That's fine. So, Ablative will fire. They can't deal with this Gatekeeper. I think we still just push it, though. Choose and install a non-agenda card now. Gain 2, pay 1. And then we do just credit. And we Vovo over. Even if they run this, I think we're okay. I ran into someone doing Pharmacary shenanigans with Stegodon. Yeah, Ada, there was a list. I think it got to top 16th at APAC. I don't know why they're running this. I think it's to get a Namakua counter. It will get 1 counter. But they do get purged out. Doubly. Oh, it's to make us lose 3. I totally forgot. You can do that with the router. Yeah, cool. Vovo, though, doing work. We just need to keep 3 credits. They're on 19, though. But they haven't been running, right? How are they been having that many money? Oh, all the daily cast. Falsified? They're going to see it's an agenda. So now they need to run it. And it's not a border control, but it is an ablative. And with ablative, we can get them a virus for 1 credit on top of the Tranquility. Unfortunately, we have to pay for the exposed, though, but it doesn't matter if we purge. Boomerang? This is really risky if this is border control. Oh, we win. Mad Dash. Oh, we win. Ablative wins games. Check this shit out. So it's an ablative barrier. We res ablative barrier. It fires. We put him a virus in server 5. Pay credit. I don't care. We install a non. I don't care. Gain 2. Res. Purge. Cool. Ablative barrier's messed up. This one, thanks. Hey, thanks. That's all, folks. Good game. Check this shit out. Such a soundbite. Oh, man. Yeah, they're playing the econ denial stuff. I don't know how many tall decks there are. Like, I don't know if I would be the first player to play these, but like, yeah, the hijack router seems reasonable. There's a brutal virus. This card is so good. Yo, criminal. That's criminal. All 2 of their draw cards. Yeah. Mad Dash, Flatline, and HB, what a play. Wait, did they flatline? I thought they just conceded. Oh, they flatlined. Oh, that's sick. Hey, thanks for the game. Cheers. I didn't realize they flatlined. I thought they just conceded because they knew that this was the winning play. Admittedly, they would need us to seamless launch, but like they died to their Mad Dash. You're totally right. If there was a border control 2, they died to it. So like, this had to be basically anything with 3 in the run subroutines that mattered. In this list, it would only be border control that matters. But ablative wins there, yeah. Even when it's not winning games, it's still getting value. Wait until you see what happens if you score 2 Stegodons and have ablative. Oh, I believe it. Stegodon stacks with itself. So every run, the runner gets -8 strength if you score 2 Stegodons and you get 2 ablative barriers back. Yes, I think there's a nightmare there. But like none of the nightmares to me make that much sense. It's like with border control dancing around, it's like hard to do that make sense because then the ablatives have to move. You have to run a different server. With the B1001, like it's weak to pinhole, which I think you should be playing 2-3 pinhole maybe. I think there is a nightmare scenario there though. All right. Okay. Let's try Cyber Sand in a deck that makes a bit more sense. So I've been playing this already offline a bit. It's been okay. But there is a fastest advanced deck. I think there's fast versions of outfit that are just really good. Like you can, of Ob, that you just jam 3/ and burn at agriculture. What we're doing here though, is we have some tricks, is we have Cyber Sand Harvester that we just want to trash to get a 1-coster at instant speed. Why? Well, because at some point, I think we played a version. Yeah, Amazon Industrial Protection Racket. This is a bit silly and I think has a lot of tuning to make this make sense. But the idea is that Cyber Sand Harvester can be cracked at instant speed. I think I heard this first from Baram Wu to get Maze Amusements when they've agreed to access a card. So as long as there's a Cyber Sand on the table, you can make sure that they access an agenda on the table with the Maze Amusements. That's really, really neat. So the idea is they'll take a bunch of tags. This deck has Angelique Garza Correa, which we can't really pull at instant speed because there's no one cost trash at instant speed, I don't think. But then also Tucana is really interesting because if they steal an agenda on top of a Tucana, which you can not pull at instant speed, you can either put an anemone on the table to do extra damage, you can give them a tag with ping, and then we have a bunch of flexibility basically to be like, oh, you steal an agenda, suddenly something bad happens. So imagine they run a remote server and then with a Tucana and an agenda, they steal the agenda, but Tucana gives 2 net damage with anemone and Correa does 2 meat damage. Ideally there they die to public trail and to end the line. Obviously it doesn't work that consistently. The economy in this deck is pretty trash, but we have some weird lines here with Cyber Sand Harvester that gets you to some of these lines. I think the more direct play though, Cyber Sand Harvester isn't a standout in this deck. In this deck, it's a fair bit better, where like you can crack Cyber Sand Harvester aggressively to pull an MC austerity policy to do a bit more fast evades. This list is also on 3 Gatekeeper, which I think I've pruned down a bit. I forget what else I was playing, but Gatekeeper seems really interesting because you can put it on archives and slash and burn with some safety because it usually fires and nobody expects it. We have a bunch of 1-costers, so the idea is that if you use a slash and burn to trash an AZF, to AZF protocol to trash an ice wall, at instant speed you can get a spin doctor, so you can slash and burn totally safely. I'm pretty sure there was something that we put inside instead of the Gatekeeper over some testing. We found out there was a better 2 influence slot. I forget what it was though, but this is full just straight fast events. Where's your armed acid protection, Mr. Streamer? Wait, is that a card? Oh, it is. Oh, this card. Oh, yeah, this is bad. You don't do this one. This doesn't make sense. This will make sense later. Rococo fetching your spin. So Rococo is almost good. Because the thing to understand with Rococo is that Rococo needs power counters on it or advancement counters to be able to be trashed. You actually cannot trash this unless it has advancement counters. But the idea is, in theory, if you score an AZF protocol and trash a 2-coster, you can get the Rococo and get the power counters on the reconstruction contract. And then next turn, you can trash a reconstruction contract to fast advance or go get a 0-coster, which means you can get a spin doctor to save your slash and burn agriculture. There's some nonsense in this deck. I think, unfortunately, Winchester is like, I don't know what century you're playing in this list. It makes no sense. I think at some point, like, Formicarry doesn't make sense. I think you can cut a Gatekeeper maybe for a Mana Garm to get another 2-coster in there. There's some, like, really weird stuff you can do with this sort of list. I think the Rococo probably gets cut. I think Cyber Sand Harvester shouldn't be a 3 of, but I think this list actually can do weird stuff that people might not expect. I'm kicking myself because I forgot what I did with the Gatekeeper, because I know in testing I didn't like 3x Gatekeeper. There's probably something else here. I think you're too low in Winchester. I don't know. I don't want to pay 4 credits for it. As much as we're a fast events deck, so protecting Central seems okay. Hey, Z-Bags, it's so flippin' fun. So many exciting things. You were playing an APAC. How was it? New Corp deck. What is this called? Cyber Sand FA. Whatever. If it's a good deck, we make a good title. Op. Super heavy. Okay. This thing can kickflip all over the spot. I was all over FA Oblast rotation, but this is awesome. APAC was great. What were you playing? I think you were on stream for a bit on day 1, but I think after I went to sleep. I think I might have... I think I definitely saw your name in the rankings. I think you were on stream for at least a game. Corp. I feel like you're playing Criminal. Corp. Until 6 a.m. making horrible life choices. My Dragon Energy, 92%. It's pretty low. It scares me. All right, Freedom. Not a good matchup. Just not a good matchup. Not a good hand. Just not a good hand. Hey, that's a better hand. Best of luck. Have fun. 419 and Jinjo Vovo Sports. So cool. Oh, cheers. That's very kind. Okay, so Freedom gets some good value. This is where you get the weird fork, unless we top deck an Ice Wall, between like getting the Rashida on the table turn 1 and icing up Centrals. I think we're going to ice up Centrals. Spin Doctor we want to protect. So the average thing here is put this on HQ, put this on R&D to destroy any sort of thing that comes down, and click for your credit. These are both of the best ice for the Centrals in this point of the game. I think Anvil is so sick in the early game. Whatever they put down, it eats it. We don't have to trash anything. I think the face check turn 1 on Anvil is busted. It is so messed up. Even in startup, as long as you can trash something, it eats endurance on turn 1. So cool. They don't have other cards installed. And then Afshar on HQ is just really good. And then from there, we'll do Gatekeeper into Rashida, click for credit probably, and that'll be our turn. Again, we're just trying to slash and burn. Getting counters on Atlas, maybe. All right, Paladin Puemo, check into an Anvil. Daily Cast, check into an Anvil. please, I'd like to introduce you to my anvil. New remote server. This. And we'll just do credit. Hopefully she fires. I think pinhole threading is a bit underplayed. I think it's absurd. I don't think people realize how important that if you pinhole threading this Rashida, we lose the game. It's that simple. If you pinhole threading the early Rashida, you win the game. It is so simple. And yet people cut pinhole threadings. For those who don't know, Freedom, this is from the Katara cycle. It says once per turn, you may remove X virus counters from any installed cards you have to trash a card you're accessing that doesn't have a trash cost. You pay virus counters equal to its, what does it say? Its res or play cost. So you can't trash agendas, but the idea is that you translate any virus counters, so like leech counters you get for free, to just trash cards, which we might see Audrey. We're definitely going to see Nob Curie. You're going to see Imps, maybe. Amakua is pretty likely. And now we're running into a Gatekeeper, which we'll kindly res here. Might be a bit overkill with the Rashida. Pinhole's auto 2x full stop. Yeah, I think so. But even criminal decks aren't playing it consistently. All right. Shuffle 3 back. No. Probably should, because we're Rashiding. Actually, probably should. But I think actually here, like if we stick a Spin Doctor, we can just like slash and burn out. Okay. We have to res the Rashida. We don't have the click compression to do everything here. At least we have a Spin Doctor, so we can rescue some cards. Okay. Mandatory. We probably should have shuffled some back, let's be honest. Okay. So the problem with Spin Doctor is if we put it on the table on top of our Tucana, then it's on top of our Tucana, and then we can't, we have to trash the Spin Doctor before we do something. So in theory, in this hand, we can slash and burn Agriculture, score an Azief, D2 me damage, go get a 2-coster from our deck. It's pretty middling, but it's definitely doable. So I think here we just have to like stabilize a wee bit. Yeah, not the easiest. I think we'll try and just like tempo off of the Tucana, which is a very powerful card. And then what do we want to ice up here? Fortunately, yeah, the Spin Doctor is going to go down in a way that like I don't think we were excited about. Let's do that. You can get Tucana as a 2-cost. Yeah, you're right. We can't get the Tucana as a 2-cost, and then it would fire. So we could trash this to get a Tucana. That actually is like a really good line. Is that we could have slashed a burned in Azief, trashing the Gatekeeper, which is like pretty mid value at this point because it's 0 strength. Then we get a 2-coster. It'll be the Tucana. The problem is we can't res the Tucana before we score the agenda. So it won't actually fire. But those are like really weird lines. Like if they don't trash the Spin Doctor, which I think Freedom definitely wants to be checking this stuff, we can just like score out the Atlas on top of a Tucana and a Malapert and just like do absurd value. Unfortunately, we'd want a Cyber Sand here, but what can we do? Like Cyber Sand Tucana is cute. I thought Ob auto-resed when you fetch. Oh my god, you're right. It's Ob. It will be Obbed. It will be res. You're totally right. I totally blanked. I was thinking of like Malapert. Yeah, it doesn't even put it on the table. It will res it. That does work. All right, so it's a Spin Doctor. So we're gonna res it. We're gonna unfortunately crack it here, so they don't get the use of counter. But we got to put those back in the deck. So now it's a bit harder for us to do our nonsense. So this is entirely safe to slash and burn out an Atlas as long as we have a 1-coster on the table. So we'll probably get rid of the Malapert. Not great. Not too great. There's the Nob Curie. Okay. So start turn. All right. So what can we do? We can do install, advance, slash and burn. We can res the Malapert Data Vault. We can res the Tucana. That will get us a 0-coster. And it'll get us some ice. That seems fine. Yeah, let's do it. We'll probably not financially recover from this, but it's hard to stick Cyber Sands into Freedom. Like everyone else has to threaten 4 credits. So server 1 slash puts 2 advancements, advance score. We get a bunch of triggers here. So wait, what the fuck? Oh, I thought that was an Azief. This Malapert is like really bad. I thought we had a trash card. This Malapert we don't want. Sorry. Yeah, we should have not scored the Atlas. We should have scored the Azief there. I'd rather have the flexibility of getting a 0-coster. We've made a huge mistake. Oh man, this is bad. We just threw an agenda in the bin. Hopefully they'll be scared. So here we can get something to put on archives. If it's an anvil, it's annoying. We pay 1 credit for that. If it's an ice wall or border control, they go through it, and gatekeeper is pretty bad. It's actually really, really quite bad. So we'll just put an anvil in archives. Oh yeah, we messed that up all over the spot. Dang it, Andre. Is it not good? Double slash and bird for the Alice counter? Yeah, but then if we can't get the, we could have double slash and bird for the Alice counter, but then there's 4 points in archives. Can't deal with that. This is where like it was awkward that we wanted the spin doctor behind the ice, but then we can't use the Tucana because it's only from this server. So not great. That's okay. We're hopefully going to go fast enough. And they can just run through this. We gain a credit, they lose a credit, they can trash their daily cast. It's like means they get through for 3 credits. It's fine. There's 2 points in there. I thought it was Aziaf. Yeah, me too. Yute. I don't think there's any reason to run Yute. It's just strictly the same numbers as Abisu, but worse. There's literally no reason to play this. It's weird. There's no advantage to this card. It is just literally the text on Yute, on Abisu, excuse me, but worse. Like same math, except it has a downside. They're going in. Okay, this is where we save it though. We res the 1-coster, continue to counter ice. We trash this. This gets us a spin doctor, puts it in server 1. I would do new remote. Sick. So now would they fire this? Its strength boost is slightly different. Oh, is Abisu 2 for 2? Okay. So now they have to trash one of their cards, because if we trash one of our cards, that can happen. So now we can save our agenda. Ace. Now, if they don't run the spin doctor, which we're going to crack it ourselves, so be it. But this is where like Cyber Sand Harvester seems good, is that there are so many like things that we just res ice in weird windows. All right, so we're going to put this back in, and I think we'll put the Rashida back in. This is a 1-coster, though. We don't have that many of them. We'll do the 1-coster. Unfortunately, we're bankrupt because we spent so much money doing nonsense. And they break this for 2 credits? Only once per run. They literally cannot break 2 code gates until like a Palangi comes down. And then they like you sift through it. We have 2 points. Yeah, we're getting in there. Just you wait. I wonder if this deck wants a Tranquility home grid. Like we have so much nonsense that triggers on a lot of people's turns. The 1-costers kind of lose value when you draw almost all your 0-costers though. That's true. We still have 2 spin. Oh wow, we only have 1 spin doctor. You thinking what I'm thinking? You thinking what I'm thinking? This is where I'd love to have a sentry that's actually like relevant. We could do it. Install, advance, slash and burn. Install, slash and burn. Audacity. I don't care. Something like that. Yeah, I feel like we respected freedom too much on centrals. I think we can allow freedom to trash one thing a turn. It's fine. It's not like we can res this ice. We need this Rashida to fire. I think it's really easy for freedom to check this. It's 2 credits as much as the money isn't exactly there. Maybe they're scared to something. On 4 credits, abstractly snare. I don't know. I don't know about that. I think snare also got better in some of the Wayland damage decks, considering end of the line is the meat damage you have. So you care about both of the clauses on the card. Usually, you used to back in the day, but with Boom, it wasn't that relevant. I also am so surprised we saw literally no Behold in any of the Reality Plus decks, but they're playing assets. I get it. How many 2 strength code gates are there, though? There's not a lot. Okay. Oh, I know what we need to play. We need to put a Sandstone in the deck. We don't have a 3-cost barrier. I think Sandstone we definitely want. Also Mavirus. Are we not playing Mavirus? Hold on, they're going to trash a bunch of this stuff. Oh, we have 2 Mavirus. Okay, that's really good. Mavirus getting your Cyber Sand at instant speed is also really, really good. Because you purge and then you get more value. Yeah, 1 more Spin Doctor sucks. I know it's kind of weird, but I noticed a lot of just out of range value trades. Is Ice Carver secretly a banger? It might be. But I think like Leech is it's a bit better, like especially with Hoshiko, it does what you want to do anyways, but I definitely wouldn't discount Leech. Okay, so we want to set up to score this, so we have to put this on archives. Or we need to have a one coster on the table, which unfortunately we threw at our ice wall, like absolute chumps. We also know they can't res double Gatekeeper. I'm just gonna put this on archives. We're slash and burn deck. We're just gonna put this on archives. And again, if they ever go down to low cards in hand, which I don't know why they would, we have a lethal there. Leech is a banger. Leech is really, really good. I think a big strength of Leech too is like Amaku is almost goes entirely unpunished in the meta. Right? Like virtual service assistant is real, agent is real, but it's something that you can still have an Amaku alongside as long as you install like your Shibboleth or like your Unity or whatever. But yeah, as long as you do that, there's like no downside to Amaku in this meta, besides the fact that people are playing a virus. Like, okay, that's a real downside. But it's still worth it. Even as like a stopgap to make sure that you don't get just like absolutely left behind. All right, so we could do install advance slash and burn. We'd have to trash something, so we can trash the Gatekeeper to get a 2-coster. What is our deck's 2-coster? 2-cost ice is really bad. I don't think we're running any 2-cost ice. So it'd probably be a Cyber Sand Harvester, which they trash for 2 virus counters. It'd be cool though. I think we're just gonna do it. Yeah, I think we're just gonna do it. This is where we want the Tucana. Like this play is so much better when you have the Tucana. Server 1, advance, burn it, score, trash, 2-coster. Wait, does the Tucana fire? Oh my. I forgot about that. We hit an Ice Carver. Hey, speak of it. We hit an Ice Carver. Friday Chip too. A lot of people I've seen playing Friday Chip. I feel like that card is always a bit too greedy. It's like quintessentially 48th card. It'd be like, this will do something really good once we're set up. The problem is Freedom doesn't set up. That was cool. That's really cool. Imagine we had better ice. Like imagine we got out there an envelopment or something. It's a goofy one. Ice goes bird. Yeah, this is again, we haven't drawn a Cyber Sand, but like this is how you get value off Cyber Sand as well. Conundrum still punishes having AI out. Yeah, but it costs 7 credits. Like people don't even want to play MIC. It's 6 credits and it's good. And that's the problem though with Conundrum is it's really bad unless they have an AI, right? Like that was the beauty of IP block is if they didn't have AI, it's okay. Virtual services isn't. If they didn't have AI, it's okay. Swordsman is not even okay. That's why it doesn't see a lot of play. But like Conundrum, if they don't have AI, it's terrible. It costs 8. Oh, excuse me, my bad. All right, we still have 2 what's it called in the deck? Virus. Why pre-install Tucana when you can post install Tucana? I hope the term post install is if we top deck here, like right, like we get more ice, we just keep going. Okay, I think also playing Bass in the deck is interesting because if they run too late, we can trash something. So here we can res the anvil. Thinking, okay, so this is the combo that we have. What is the res cost of Anemone? Is it 2 or is it 3? This is an important one to understand. Oh, it's not in the deck. I forgot. We're not the anemone deck. Never mind. Don't look at that. But the idea is that like here you could get an enemy, right? So here we res the anvil. What does it cost to break? It bankrupts us. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. We don't need a lot of money to win. So here we could trash something. If we trash something, this fires. It forces them to trash one of their installed cards. All their installed cards are of relative good value, and then we gain a credit back. So what do we trash? Probably the anvil here. And that allows us to get a 3-coster from our deck. The problem is the 3-cost slot. That is what I'm not sure what we hit. Another Afshar. That's not that great. Yeah, not so great. I think there's some flexible deck building to be done here. Hey, test. Oh, all good. All right, so if they want to break this, it's going to cost them all their money. We don't have to trash a card. We can consider trashing Tucana to get a 1-coster. The 1-coster is actually worth getting. We would get a mega. We would get the if we trashed the one coster, we would get the MCA austerity policy. The problem is they can contest the MCA austerity policy. No, so we'll just let it fire on their own terms. Okay, they paid 4 credits. All right, they get an access here. They can trash anything in the deck. They have 6 virus counters besides agendas. They'll steal those. They trashed. Not yet. They're accessing. Freedom. They've trashed an MCA austerity policy. Damn shame. That is, like, again, we haven't seen any of our Cyber Sands, but being able to pull out the MCA austerity policy consistently on turn 1 is kind of cool. Well, there it is. The issue is I don't want to put this on the table because then they trash it for really cheap. All right. Server 1 credit card. Let's go. Yusuf is really good. It breaks all barriers for just virus counters, which you get back clicklessly. It is 2 MU, but Knobkir gives 3 MU. We didn't talk about this. This says whenever they make a successful run, or first a turn, excuse me, they get to put a virus counter on anything. So that means the Amakua gets up to speed super fast. Now again, we have 3 copies in the deck of Mavirus. So that's okay. And the cool thing here is if they run, and this is an agenda, right? Like we get a Tucana to fire, which can be quite cool. No one home. Well, we don't care about this in deck. Wow, we got the Rashida. That's really good for us. No. You thinking what I'm thinking? You thinking what I'm thinking? Who's thinking about what? Score. So we can either let the Tucana fire to get a 1 coster. We don't need our border control anymore, but I think we have no more 3 costers in the deck. So that's useless. Oh no, it gets him a virus. Okay, wait, no, we're doing that. We'll trash this. 3 coster, a virus, archives. Okay, now we can get an ice. Border control on R&D. Go. This deck looks fun. I think it's cool. Like, I don't think we have an optimal version because we have some really awkward breakpoints. Like, no 2-cost ice sucks. We need a sandstone for sure. Just have a 3-cost barrier. But here we top deck hostile takeover. We win. How many are we playing? 2. Like, there's some really cool kickflips. This card is an absurd amount of tempo. And now at any point, we can trash some of virus to get a Cyber Sand Harvester. That's not very good. But we have to keep that in mind that we can do it. And now they can't really run anymore because the border controls will fire. The Afshars will not fire. They can go through this. It'll cost them 1 credit, maybe up to 3 credits. I forgot what I did. Why did I cut I definitely cut the gatekeeper for something cool. So we have 2 and 19. We can always make it a 2 and 18 if we crack them a virus, but I think we have a big incentive to keep this as long as we can. And again, if they run here last click, like there's some risk that we pull out a Bastir Boga, which I don't think we did. We should use our anvil to get rid of server 1 at the earliest opportunity. Yes, we need to destroy this because they can bounce off of this forever. It doesn't matter with Mavirus. Okay, it's a Cyber Sand. That's bad. We'll draw once. We can consider doing credit here. We don't need a lot of money, but this is a liability server. That is for sure. We'll just do credit. That's good enough. But they're in a hard spot here because if they're going to run and going to go through barriers, the gatekeeper, this will get them. Thoughts on Svigator over Cyber Sand? In this deck, we don't res a lot of stuff, so it might be harder. I think Svi is reasonable. I honestly think, well, I was thinking about something today that Svigator seems a bit better in an archetype that doesn't make sense. I forget what it is, but Svi with Tucana is like weird tempo that honestly is like kind of cool. It's like this card is the closest we have to team sponsorship, but it pulls from your deck. If you were like an old head that played that, like, I don't know. I think Cyber Sand we're forcing. I don't think it's particularly good. I don't think Cyber Sand is going to be good until you can control res and de-res. Friday chip. This feels like it is a bit too little too late. We'll res the Afshar because this costs them 3 credits to go through this. They can trash any card in their hand. We don't care because we have 2 credits, so we can top deck a hostile and go from there. We also could top deck. We have, I think, a bunch of audacities in the list. They have to remember there's 2 points in archives as well. Hey, stream. Izzy, how's it going? Let's see what they do here again. They can't break all the subroutines. And it's all you for Snake. What did you pick? We talked about this at the beginning of the stream. Okay, so they lose 2 credits. Expensive run. They're going to get an Amakua here, unless they trash. But they'll get it anyways because of Nopkuri. Docklands and R+. Shit. I probably should have hate drafted R+. Somebody should have. I thought someone else would fall on that. Because my corp draft is bad, I can't hate draft. But Docklands is a good call. I would have drafted Docklands pretty quickly. Hoshiko would have 20 credits here in a Stargate? Yeah. Yeah. I think Hoshiko Pile is still just kind of messed up. Like, there is some metas where the flexibility of freedom is good. It changed how we played. We would ice up against Hoshiko. But yeah, at this point, Hoshiko would have gone through the whole deck. I don't know if someone took R+, I just throw it in Asmari, so 2 people have to hate draft me. I am way less scared of Oppo and Asmari. And also, is it because the event packages are not as consistent? Queerality plus. Okay. This is good. So we're going to install this in server 1. And we're going to trash this because we don't want that to be open. Well, res. We have a hostile. So now we just draw, and survive. Oh, wow. If we got both of those, we could have done it. Okay, draw, survive. At this point, everyone's gunning for second since Izzy's going to win. I think Izzy can very easily win. I think the fact that nobody, like Izzy's the only person at the table drafting NBN, yeah, that's a problem. But that is the fact that nobody went NBN until 7th pick, and I'm not hate drafting NBN. I should have. I probably should have. My runner's mid. Yeah, I don't know. It might be. It might be okay, though. It's not bad. All right, so if this survives, we win. If this survives, we can top deck a win. This feels slow. It's turn 11. This is slow. We did go slow, but we messed up some of the early plays. Yeah, I think getting 419 is like very reasonable. I think it's just gonna slow everyone down. And you have Amakua. Like, I don't think Izzy you should be allowed to have 419. How are we doing on time? Yeah, okay. Just drafted Netrunner for the first time this week. It felt great. Took us all night to read the cards. So you drafted with an old set, I take it? Yeah, okay. We'll get back into the agenda. And what else do we want to get back in? We have to remember at instant speed, we can get a 2-coster from our deck. That's just not very relevant. We'll get the Audacity, I guess. Maybe you should take 419 then? Honestly, yeah, maybe I should. Maybe I should. We tried the Stimac Cube. Most of us were new to standard, let alone older cards. Oh, that's a really cool way to see a lot of the field. It's a bit overwhelming. I think that was something that happened on a draft someone recently. It's like you saw a lot of new players playing with old cards for the first time. And it's like so cool to see some of the most powerful cards. The older players that have been playing for a while have a huge advantage because they know the play patterns that are like the best way to extract value from certain things. Yeah, it's a really cool way to see new cards for sure. All right, this is a huge run. They have a 1 in 5 to stop us from winning. And if they hit that, there's a chance that we can like draw into something like a sprint into a hostile works. This is a good run. Drafting cube is how I'm going to break into Eternal. I don't know if it's possible. Eternal's so daunting. I can't believe COS is Eternal. Shit. No. What a rip. Yeah, one cool thing I want to say is that Paladin Puemo is now a lot hungrier. Now there's no bin breakers. It used to be so easy to trash your board state. I still think it's very great. Wanted that. Speaking of draft, CTZ announced Roseville 3 coming up in a few weeks. Rockman, how's it going? I don't know enough about like the Roseville sets or all that, the Roseville culture. I know it's just a wild set, but I don't think I've ever seen a Roseville card. Oh, they're just installing. So we can top deck the win here. We have 3 Azief, 1 Atlas, 1 Above the Law. We can also thin our deck if we want. Adori came down. We have 1 Sentry. It's in the bin. Okay. So we have to slash and burn the... If we find the hostile, we're okay. We didn't find the hostile. We did not find the hostile. We have an extract, though. We can extract the anvil for money, I guess. I used to rotate cards from my Asmari counters. Had an opponent read account cipher for the first time. And they went. All right, let's get rid of the trashables. Okay. Actually, if we had more money, what would we do? Genuinely not much. Let's draw once. Install. We actually could win next turn. It's really easy for them to disrupt it. Like, let's not get that twisted. So what ice can we get on HQ? The issue is this 2-cost ice isn't real. It's just not real. So we just need to get a barrier on HQ. How much do we need to advance out? Install, advance, install, expend. We need 1 credit to get out. Shit. This is where you need a sandstone. Like we would anvil for a sandstone and then like purge. All right, we'll just hope it survives. We can sprint, install hostile. We draw slash and burn. Yeah, that's what I was diving for. That we could sprint for the hostile. It's a 1 in 11. Ice wall locks them out. Yeah, but if we install the ice wall, we'd have to trash the Afshar. Otherwise, we wouldn't have enough money. And even then, they can run archives. You're right, actually. We probably should have trashed the Afshar. I was thinking of installing the ice wall in front. Yeah, that might have been correct. We'll see if we get punished. We easily get punished on this hand. But also, like, we can top deck a 3-2. They'd have to, like, get everything out of our hand to feel really good. Only one of your 3 team members is on Eternal? Yeah, I know, but like, I don't think that's gonna be me. I don't think I'm gonna be the Eternal player. There's only like 3 serious Eternal players and one of them is Austin. All right, so they have no money, that's fine. So they whiff 40% of the time. Extract, that's one of their 40%. They can trash that and then it makes it easier to run back, but it's a bit tricky to run back. They only need 1 credit for what it's worth. Like they can just click for credit and run back through the Afshar. All right, 3 virus counters. Very importantly there, they use their ability, which means now we're safe off the Audacity. So even if they steal both of these slash and burns, we can top deck a 3-2 and win. So we're happy with that because freedom is only once per turn. Not first time, it's just once. Credit, they can go back. Yeah. So they decode through one of these or Amaku through one, and then the next one it's not worth firing. And then they have 1 click left. So if they hit either of these, we're not in the best spot. If they hit the hedge fund or the Audacity, 50% of the time we win next turn. We win next turn. We get a slash and burn, a slash and burn. Wait, are we not going to have enough cards in hand? We're not going to have enough cards in hand. Trashing the extract mattered. Install, slash and burn. Will we have enough cards in hand? Hold on, we'll have 5 in hand. We got another 4. Yeah, we'll be fine. We have just enough cards. Right? Why is this so hard to math out? Yeah, you draw a card, right? Do you have it? I think so. New remote. Expend. Yeah, okay, cool. We just have enough Audacity. GG. Generally, the corpse looking pretty ugly with a slash and burn in the score area, but if it wins you the game, that'll get you there. Trash deck? No, it's all good. Not at all. That's a reasonable doing freedom things. Yeah, it was hard that we kept them out for sure. I forgot to delete most of my decks. Why'd you delete your decks? Just gotta clean that up, get rid of those. No, it's cool. I think freedom is like so much harder to play than Hoshiko, so much less consistent, and the payoff is like probably not as good as just playing Ma. Again, the new set didn't have that much that, like, unless Audrey picks up, I don't think the new set had enough to disrupt good stuff Hoshiko. Well, thanks to the game. Yeah, I think that's kind of on the downside. So we're going to see that more on the weekend. Hey, Jab Info, have you played any World Breakers now that it's out? I remember seeing your video on it a while ago and I was wondering what your thought on it post-release. Yeah, cool question. So I do have World Breakers. I kickstarted it with the deck doubler. Unfortunately, the only person that I've played World Breakers since we got the thing in is my partner. And my partner is not like the best card game for the both of us because World Breakers is like a mixture of a Euro game, Netrunner, and at least some Magic the Gathering. So we played like 2 or 3 games with the starter decks. And we found out something I found out when I played against Pat as well, is that a lot of it was like board state based, where like if you had board control, it was really hard to get board control back. So it's something common in Magic the Gathering. Some people are okay with it, but for a lot of people, you find it maybe a bit frustrating where like, oh, if I don't have board, anything I put out, you value trade and then you're still ahead. So my partner didn't like it that much. And I think that's also like one of the weird downsides is it's a game that is so close to Netrunner that that's what at least my partner said, is like, I'd rather just play Netrunner. I do think like it's a sick game, and I'm glad that it's doing well, and it's doing quite well. The shut up and sit down, pick up the new set, all that sort of stuff. But I haven't like sat down and played more of it. A lot of my time though goes into Netrunner, and if I'm playing like again here with like my brother-in-law, with family, with my partner, we'll end up playing like Doomtown or Arkham Horror, or I play Marvel Champions a lot, so I haven't done any of that. I think I want to try some of the solo stuff. That's something I haven't tried out so far. But it's like, it's a weird thing. It's like, I know a lot of people it's going to be one of their favorite games, and they're going to like it a lot. To me, it's like so close to Netrunner. It's like, do I just play Netrunner, right? And that's like a weird spot to be in. But I think for a lot of people, they're going to really dig into it. I want to see what the new set is. And I think drafting, I'm also like really bad at it. I think this is like a weird thing with this game to Netrunner, right? And correct me if I'm wrong. It's much more fun to lose Netrunner than is World Breakers. I'm really bad at World Breakers, and losing at World Breakers, I feels like you don't have a real big say into the game a lot of the times. And that's fine. I think there's a lot of games that are super popular where that's the case, right? Like losing in Magic the Gathering. If you're losing, sometimes you're just out of the game. But I found that to be a bit of a struggle sometimes, is that I can't, I didn't find losing in World Breakers to be as exciting. Yeah. I don't know. I want to be really positive of the game. I think it's sick, and I think a lot of people are going to really like it. For me, it's been a bit hard to get to tables here. That's all I wanted to say. Just did World Breakers 4P Cube tonight. How'd it go? How'd it go? Yeah, the whole drafting thing too is like, I know with me and my partner, like, she doesn't like to do a lot of deck building or drafting. So for us, we probably play with pre-con decks. That's how we enjoy Doomtown. It's how we enjoy Netrunner. It's like, I'll do all the deck building and then like, we just play it. So like, I think drafting has a huge, interesting part of World Breakers that I'm not experiencing because it just doesn't make sense for our tabletop. Netrunner definitely has those moments too. Yeah, but it's way less common. I think you're right, but it's way less common. And I think Null Signal Games has been pushing the other direction. Netrunner Cube is better than World Breakers Cube, but 4P is easier to organize than 8. Oh, yeah, right. I see that. Yeah. Yo, do you want something that... Okay, for those who play World Breakers, you know the cards that are printed horizontally? They're upside down, right? This bothers me. I don't know. They're upside down. Unless they're meant to be like kind of like Arabic where you read right to left. But I feel like all the cards are printed sideways. Like this is a thing in Netrunner, right? Netrunner DB, I don't know, Palisade. So I don't know if this was intentional or not, but this is something that I was struggling with as like I don't know. I don't want to say it's accessibility, but yeah, okay, so you see all the text here. You read from left to right, from top to bottom. So obviously ice makes sense. You put it sideways. It doesn't matter which way you go, but all the text goes upwards, right? Is there a World Breakers DB? Yeah, there is. Okay. I don't know a name of a World Breakers card that's an asset. What's a World Breakers asset? A card that you put in sideways. Locations, right? Why is it like this? It's the wrong way. This hurts my head. Like the only way I can feel like I can play World Breakers comfortably is with the opaque sleeves on everything, because then I can put the cards in the sleeve upside down, because this hurts to read. I don't know if this was intentional or not, but it is like, I think a pretty big down. It's weird because like every time I draw a card, like I have to, oh, my neck cracked real bad there. But you know what I mean? Like this is difficult to read. We ran into that problem really quickly. On what's it called? On Tabletop Simulator, I feel like they were the other way around. I don't know if that's a printing issue or not. Oh. French book spines do this too? Oh, Graham, how's it going? They just write it the other way. I know French book spines, yes, I have seen it the other way. I think like on my board game shelf, I put them the same way that books do, at least English book. But yeah, I don't know. I find it really hard to read this, which like once you know the cards is not that big of an issue, but that was like something that caught me by surprise. I don't know how I didn't notice that sooner. It's a choose your poison thing. For Netrunner, do you read the ice and play with the neck move or do the card in hand? But like for humans, it's much easier to read from bottom up. And I think it's just because we're used to it, because that's like how book spines go. Right? Like I can read this without twisting my head. If it's upside down, I have to feel like I twist my head a bit. For landscape cards, names go on the left or it bothers me a lot. Wait, do they also go, the cards go on the weird side? The names, the cards? Yeah, the name on this side too is strange. Like humans eat information from left to right. Well, at least English reading like people. Like Arabic, you read right from left. I guess also for like Japanese, you read right for left. So this might be better for certain markets. But like we all read information here left to right. So holding this in my hand, I have to read information on this card from right to left. And for me, that is so weird. Like it's a bit of a struggle. I've never seen a card game that does it this way. I don't know if I can deal with that. That's opposite how I fan the cards in my hand. Yeah, that's also the thing. This is the opposite to how people fan cards. People fan cards for the top left to be open, which is good that the cost is there, but then the title isn't there. And maybe you don't need the title because you see the art, but like that's also the very smart thing about Netrunner cards is all the information you need to keep this card in your hand will be in your hand when you fan the card out. That's also like, it's a really funny thing. You know, like 52 card decks, this sort of idea that they put the number and the symbol like spade 7 in the corner, that's actually a relatively new thing to card games in the history of 52 card decks. Yeah, it's weird. It's really strange. I wonder if it's due to where the developers come from. Yeah, it might be. It might be. Again, Arabic, right to left, that kind of matches with the world a bit. Maybe that's ignorant, but I don't know. This also might be the sort of thing where like playing on TTS, you don't notice it so much as I do think. Also, that's another thing, is when you prototype this game, there is a chance that the cards were prototyped and then because the card back doesn't exist, it doesn't matter which way you held it in your hand. So maybe people held it the other way. No, but they probably didn't because the cost would be, I don't know, strange. Maybe right-handed versus left-handed people actually may be true as well. That's an interesting one as well. I don't know. That one got me. It's like I have to opaque sleeve the whole collection and then the cost is on the bottom and I don't know what to do with that. That shouldn't be a reason not to play the game. It was just something I noticed with the game and I was like, wait, why does this feel so weird? And then I realized, oh, you're reading in the different direction. Anywho, I feel like we've been really negative this stream. Apologies for that. I don't generally like to do that. See you this weekend. Shout outs to all the people traveling out. Shout outs to all the people watching, all the people putting together the tournament. The cast for American Continentals will start this weekend. It starts, I don't know what the time it starts in. The Null Signal Games website says when it starts. It is in Pacific time, so it's 3 hours back from, it's 11:52 right now in my time zone, so it's 3 hours behind that. And I'm super stoked to see that in person. We'll see you on stream. We'll be casting both days, not for all the days, at least on day one, but I think it's going to slap. Hopefully, again, you're enjoying the Automata Initiative. Real talk, if we want to end on a really positive note, there have been times when Netrunner were like making content, you know, it's a responsibility of sorts, right? Like shout outs to all the patrons where it's like, okay, I have a deck idea. We're going to get this done. This set, more than any other set that I have remembered in a long time, I am playing Netrunner when I'm not making content. It's so cool. And maybe it's just a new meta thing, but there's always just like, there's so many of the cards in the set are like, wait, I can do this with this with this, and then suddenly you're like you're you know very quickly putting something together on JNet, and it's been so cool where I find myself to be like, oh wait, I have an hour in the middle of the day, I'm gonna go grind JNet, and like that hasn't been a play pattern for me, which is so exciting. Yeah, the Automata Initiative absolutely slaps. Again, we'll find out in a while once the meta settles if we feel like we need to ban Hoshiko out. But yeah, it's been such a cool time. It has been really, really exciting. On that note, see you next week for the new Marvel Champions release. For real, I'm stoked about that too. Take care, y'all. Shout out to everyone hanging out in chat. Ban Liberty accounts and Fermenter. If you ban Fermenter, criminal totally dies. Just goes. World Without Bin Breakers and HSN is also a cool thing. I worry, like, okay, oh, we're going back to the pessimism. I think for as interesting as HHN was, Opera Research, you cannot beat it by having more money. So we are seeing a bunch of Anarch games go like to time. Because Opera Research is still a threat, even if the R+ player only has 5 credits, and it's kind of hard to deal with. You're seeing grindier games where like the Hoshiko would just get to 20 credits and then hard-hitting news wouldn't matter and they would close the game. I worry, and we have to watch out for that Oppo is causing really some ugly drawn out things. Like I think if people saw Oppo as like a cool way to close the game, these sort of acid-based matchups, which again are a bit feast and famine based on if they score at AR enhanced security, to me, I'm a bit nervous. So you keep watch out for that because it might not do what it was intended to do. Thanks for the stream. Good night all. Thanks for streaming. Hey, cheers. Thanks everyone hanging on the stream. Ban R+. Yeah, I think Ban R+ is maybe a possibility. That's the one that I don't like playing against the most until we see P. Thanks so much for watching. Shout out to all the people we're playing against. I've been saying Ban R+ since Drago. Yeah. Ban Market Forces. Market Forces is a hard one too, but like it's not as bad. Like it's not closed accounts. The problem is like, yeah, anytime that you get tagged me, you're kind of crushed out of the game. Yeah, and especially with Bologna, it's obviously very potent. Can we just ban Ares? Ares is weird too, because it's like, it's a 3-1 that if it's on the table turn 1 and you don't run steal it, you kind of lose the game. I don't feel like there's any agenda that has as powerful effect on the whole game as opposed to Ares. Like all the other ones you have to work for as much as like, you know, scoring a 3-1 sucks, but I don't know. Okay. That's all. Thanks everyone hanging out. Hopefully you're enjoying the VOD. We'll see you on the weekend. And then next week, we're not going to be streaming on Thursday. We'll be streaming on a different time. I honestly do not know when. It might be Tuesday night. It might be Wednesday night. So if you want to just subscribe to the channel to get the push notification, I literally do not know when. So